Yes, what are some resources that people who are watching right now,
what is the best way that they can get the most updated information about evacuations perhaps in their area?
The best tool we have out there is called Genesis Protect, and it's an app. It's a free app, and it's active in a huge part of a bunch of different communities in Southern California.
Could you spell that?
Yeah, gosh, put me on the Genyssas.
Okay.
Genesis Protect.
Okay.
And that shows you real-time evacuations warnings. That means get your stuff together, and then the actual orders. You got to go. So if you are in an area and the wind's blowing towards you, and it's, these embers are casting 1, 2, or 3 miles. It's like a hailstorm of embers is what it looks like out there. All last night as I watched the hillsides, and it jumped over the PCH, and it burned the lifeguard towers on the beach. That's how many embers are coming over. And that's what's going to happen in Eaton Canyon. That's what's happening. That's what they're up against, as well as the Hearst fire over there by the 5 and the 14.
So when you are in such an overwhelming situation such as this, what is the strategy?
We have a term called fire front following. So, like this type of wind-driven fire and terrain and topography-driven fire is a storm, and it blows through. And when you have 300 flame lengths, 300 feet flame lengths coming at you on a wall of 90 miles an hour, you're not going to be able to stop it with the water that we have. So you have to let it go through, and then as it passes through, then you go by, and then you start saving houses, and the ones that got fire, you try to save the ones that you can. It's like a triage situation.
We know that LAFD had put out this call for volunteer firefighters to assist in the firefight. When you're talking about 3 major fires that are in our viewing area right now, I would imagine that resources are pretty strapped.
Yeah, we're definitely spread thin. We're all under unified command, meaning all the local agencies from not only Southern California, but our friends up in Northern California are coming down to help and assist. And so we all work together. LA County, a couple days before the fires started, we put out mandate, what we call telephone standby. So cancel your plans. You're not going anywhere when the phone rings, and we call you into work. You got to come to work. So that's what we signed up for. It's all hands on deck, and we're pulling resources from everywhere because each one of these fires is a major incident. And each one of these fires, as we build these out, it takes like a small town
to make it all happen with logistics. So we're going to have our hands full for the next couple of days, and so if the general public can just pay attention to the warnings, stay out of the way, let us do what we can do, that's the biggest help at this point.
So we were talking about water when we first began this conversation with you. What are you going to do if y'all still don't have water?
Listen, there are people a lot smarter than me out there working on that problem right now, and I'm sure they'll get a solution for that. So there's definitely ways around that. We've got a bunch of water trucks and things like that will be coming in. So
okay. Oh, you have water trucks coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the water trucks will come in. So they call them water tenders, but. Any problem that pops up, we surround it and we figure a way around it.
And one more thing, Captain, I know that you've been doing this for many years, and people, living in these fire areas have been living there, for some of them, for many years, and they've seen their share of fires. Can you put this one into context? Because this is happening during a very rare January red flag warning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think it is unusual. The time of year, we did have Woolsey late in the year.
But I think it's the sustaining winds. They did not die down at night. They actually elevated and increased as I sat out at the Palisades fire all night last night. Come 8, 9, 10 o'clock, it just got worse and worse. And it was like, how is this possible? And this morning, the same thing is true. And in Altadena, they're reporting the exact same thing. Out in West Hills, Agora, these winds are insane. So it's like nothing I've seen.
So you've been in it, as Jen just mentioned. How are you doing given all of this? Because I can imagine you feel a little helpless, right?
It's hard to see such catastrophic devastation. And where you can't stop Mother Nature at this point. We're great at what we do, and we've got the best systems anywhere, and we're no match for Mother Nature at this present moment. We will get our arms around us. We will be able to salvage stuff, and it's going to be a long 4 or 5 days.
And Captain, you mentioned there have been a number of calls for rescues. Anything in particular that stands out in your mind that's emblematic of this fire?
Just access and people waiting too long to get out, and then, the terrain, the topography, and the canyons, getting people down those narrow roads and passages, and then they'll just kind of bunch up because if you wait too long to leave, I think that's your biggest challenge.
Because even some folks were told to shelter in place at one point yesterday, correct?
That's a strategy that's used for sure. They look at all case scenarios, and it's just like, hey, it's blowing this way, you're going to be fine. It's going to go around you. So things like that. So people really take into consideration all factors when they say to shelter in place. So that was probably the best decision at that time for that scenario.
Because it was wild seeing there was like over 30 parked cars on Sunset. Folks were told to get out of their cars because the fire was moving at such a great pace. And to see those images on such a well-populated street and area, it was just wild.
That's how fast these winds are blowing. They had something similar happen up in Paradise. That was 5 or 6 years ago. California, they came up against some of the similar type of destruction, devastation because of the wind and Mother Nature. So.
We're looking at video right now of the Getty Villa, the museum.
Yeah, this was from yesterday.
From yesterday. Well, can you tell us anything about how they're doing?
The last I heard was that it burned to the shrubbery around it, but the villa itself was saved. I haven't gotten an update overnight. I know that yesterday, that's exactly where I was standing when this fire really started to take off and kicked off to about 100 acres. And I got some incredible shots of the Getty, and they were hitting that whole area with fixed wings and our super scoopers. So at that point, and late afternoon, late last night, I had not heard that any damage had actually affected the building. But the brush all around it, it burned right up to it. But they saved it. But again, like I said, I haven't got my update this morning, so we'll see what the damage assessment is.
And Captain, as we're talking to you, we're being told of several new fires that have just broken out. The Woodley Fire and then the Tyler Fire in Riverside. The Tyler Fire stands at now 15 acres, and the Woodley Fire is at 75 acres. That just goes to show you, I mean, these fires are popping up all over our viewing area.
Now, Jen, you make a great point. We are nowhere near out of the woods. This wind isn't dying down until late tonight, maybe into tomorrow. Our fire red flag warning is moved into tomorrow. So people that aren't in the areas where the fires are, they need to be careful. If they've got wind blowing, everybody just really, hopefully, is on high alert and paying attention to what they're doing.
And even if you, sorry, go ahead, Mel.
Oh, no, I was just saying, especially just with the way the fanning embers and how these ember storms are starting as well because of these gusty Santa Ana winds, unprecedented.
Now, like I said, I was sitting there last night in my vehicle because I couldn't get out at that point, and it looked like a hailstorm of fire. Of embers. It was a hailstorm of embers. That's how many there were. So you can imagine in a at least these were blowing off to the beach. In a densely populated area like the Eaton Canyon area, it's pretty dramatic.
So what needs to happen right now? What conditions have to be there for fixed wing aircraft and the like to get up in the air and start to fight this fire from above?
Just those winds got to calm down. I don't know what their tipping point is. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but they'll make that assessment, and as soon as they can, they'll be up.
I think it's 30 to 40 mile sustained winds have to die down, but this is just something that you mentioned that we have just not seen in recent memory.
Yeah, it's dramatic, and I'm just still aghast at how this wind is not stopping.
Well, I was reading an article this morning about they've likened this wind event to the 2011 windstorm. Do you remember that?
Yes. That's a good comparison. I think they said it's been about 12, 13 years since we've had this type of wind, so that tracks.
Captain, if you're in the one of those peripheral areas that's just right outside of the evacuation warning zone, what do you recommend people do?
Oh, I first off download that app, the Genesis app, please, so you are notified for your specific location. So you're in the know. They will text you and light up your phone to let you know that the warning is in place. Pay attention. It's like, hey, yes, it could get to us,
let's get some things packed up. Let's make a plan. Where would we go if we wanted to evacuate? Who do we need to call?
He's covering the Eaton Fire. Mark.
Yeah, Rachel, John, good morning. For those folks who are just waking up to this coverage, I'm in the Upper Hastings Ranch community. This is the area of Pasadena, one of the areas that has been hit incredibly hard by this fire. This home, of course, behind me, a total loss from our position here. We can feel the heat coming off this home. The winds, they've been just ferocious for the last several hours. At times, they've dropped off and eased up a bit, but those strong gusts, they're back again this morning. Just about an hour ago, firefighters, they were surrounding this home doing some structure protection. They lost it and they left. Just unfortunate to see it in so many homes here on Valley Lights Drive here in Hastings Ranch, Upper Hastings Ranch. They are complete lost, completely burned to the ground. In fact, just to the left, this home, you can see just the chimney standing aside from the facade of that property. And on the other side of the street, all of these homes here have as well just burned to the ground in this fire, this overnight windstorm. Santa Ana wind conditions so incredibly loud at times, sounding like a freight train moving through this Pasadena area. Though at one time when we were here overnight, it got eerily quiet and you could hear simply the fires burning and the popping noises from each home and the cars going up. More popping right now behind us in the distance. It is quiet as far as residents. They have left the area. They have evacuated. Firefighters are milling through the area. At times they'll stop and do what they can to do structure protection. But as you can see where we are, sorry, part of the home there, the facade just collapsed there behind us as it's burning away. 3770 Valley Lights Drive here in Pasadena. I was going to call attention to the fact where we are standing here at this intersection. There are no firefighters, but down the street you see one fire crew stationed, positioned, potentially doing structure protection as this fire burns through the area. So we'll keep you posted here throughout the morning. It is heartbreaking to see all of this devastation in this part of Pasadena. You know, just over a week ago, they were still celebrating the holiday lights here in Upper Hastings Ranch. This is an area that so many community members come to with their families to celebrate the holidays. It's something like a rite of passage. When you move here to Pasadena and you live in this community, you know that the neighbors and members in other cities are going to come here to look at your holiday lights. That's why you come to this neighborhood. And now to see all that has been lost, we have lost count. Dozens of homes, a total loss from this fire. We'll send it back to you.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.
Behind that hillside there may be some more active flame activity, but these fire crews, from what we've seen, LA City, LA County, CAL FIRE, and U.S. Forest Service have done a great job here in this neighborhood, really keeping these structures from going up in flames. For now, that's the latest in Sylmar. We'll send it back to you.
Okay, Mario, thank you very much for your reporting out there on the ground. So I want to give you a roundup, so to speak, of the different apps that you can be using if you're watching and you might be confused as to if you're in one of these evacuation zones. There are a number of resources for you. Of course, the Fox mobile app. Watch Duty is another great app that gives you live, real-time notifications on where these evacuation zones are changing. And then, of course, as Captain Burko was mentioning just a few minutes ago, the Genesis Protect app, and that's spelled Genassys, Protect. And you can find evacuation notices there as well. This is more video that you're looking at right now of the Palisades fire. This is from late last night. It has burned nearly 3,000 acres and growing, and right now it is 0% contained at this hour.
Fox 11's Chelsea Edwards delivered some phenomenal reporting last night. She posted a video on social media driving through the Palisades fire on her way back to our station here in West LA. You can see some of the houses burning. Let's take a listen.
talking about a well-populated area.
So Mel, this is in the light of day,
And even right then, but in the light of day, you're going to be seeing entire neighborhoods leveled. You're going to be seeing dozens of homes destroyed. You'll see trees down. You'll see what appears to be a war zone, like what Chelsea was driving through last night, for just blocks and blocks.
Some even likening this to what we saw last year in Lahaina when that fire broke
That's
out
right.
in the Maui, Hawaii community.
That's right.
It is just, it's just wild.
There are no words.
Yeah.
And here's video of our photographer, Gino Arias, and Fox 11 reporter Christy Fajardo driving near the Palisades fire. You can look at that cliffside just completely engulfed. You can see all the emergency vehicles and the smoke in the air. There are emergency evacuations in place for some 80,000 people.
I saw Matthew Seedorf was on the ground last night at Palisades Charter as it was burning.
Right.
Just extraordinary images and video. So more than 10,000 homes are being threatened by the Palisades fire at this time.
Look at that.
You can see this video of how close the fire is getting to many homes around the area. Let's take a listen.
Just be okay. You're gonna be okay, all right? You're gonna be okay. Well, we go to the park. Yeah, don't worry about that, dude. Look at that.
You can't.
Oh my goodness. I mean, that was an individual that was clearly still in his home as those flames were approaching. This video going viral on social media. An evacuation center has been set up for those folks in the Palisades community.
We can only hope and you know, possibly assume that the person who shot this video is doing okay,
Yes.
but we don't have that confirmed, and as soon as we do, we will of course let you know. But evacuees, we know, can go to the Westwood Recreation Center. It is on 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard. Guys, the best way to handle this information is to just start taking screenshots if you happen to be in this area. Another evacuation center is open at the Dream Center in Los Angeles. So, yeah, do take some pictures of these evacuation centers and the addresses so you know where to go. And there are some evacuation centers, by the way, that take large animals, because we know that in some of the fire areas there are, you know, horses and cattle and the like, and then small pets as well.
All right, let's get over to Maria now. Hey.
The Westwood shelter can accept a small, if you have a small dog, small animal, as long as they have their own cage, I believe, or their own little bag or pouch, you can bring them over to that shelter. I don't even know where to begin, guys. As I look at these images, I have to share that I have family who have homes in this area. So it is hard for me to watch. Where Gigi, yeah,
I'm so sorry.
Their house is just around the corner from Corpus Christi, that church. We have been to that church many, many times. We have celebrated different key events in our family. And it's so tough to see this. It would be a miracle if their house was there, but, you know, we're not hopeful or encouraged by the images we're seeing. I also have an aunt. They have their home up at the very, very top of the highlands there. So the cameras, you know, we have cameras around, and there's no power, obviously, and so it's very difficult to check and see how everything is going. First of all, a lot of the power is out in many of these neighborhoods. So traffic lights are out. I know driving into work, we've been talking about some of the debris that's on the roadway, so there's a lot of hazards, even if you're not in and around the areas of that fire. Where do I begin? What is going on, right? We talk about how we've not seen conditions like this ever. I've been doing the weather here for over 24, 25 years. These are conditions that I've not seen in LA so hard to watch, and we have seen our share, right, of these windy conditions. There are a lot of dynamics in place as to why the weather is the way it is. First of all, yesterday we were watching this area of low pressure. It's still here, by the way, and it's bringing that chance for showers, just not close enough to us. Out towards the east of San Diego County in the southwest, we'll get some showers, but it's that tight pressure gradient between an area of high pressure here and low pressure that was helping to drive these winds. It also was bringing in a lot of this cold air from the north. We had this cold air that just drove in, and that helped to just drive those winds. So we had windy conditions, cold air at all levels of the atmosphere, and that's why these winds were just so powerful and so strong. The bad news is this will continue. In fact, it may get worse before it gets better as we see these relative humidity values even lower. It's going to get drier. We have a lot of vegetation still to burn, and there's a lot of fuel out there, and so we're going to just continue to see, unfortunately, these impacts of the fires, the downed trees, power lines, power outages, travel really impacted by this. And as far as rain, typically during this time, yes, it's unusual to see the Santa Ana winds this early in the year or this late in the season, but we typically would have quite a bit of rain to sort of mitigate the fire danger that come with these events. Typically, we would get over 3 inches of rain, and we have gotten nothing this month. That coupled with the lack of rain the last several months. In fact, this season, the start to this season, is the 3rd driest on record for downtown LA. Some areas driest on record ever. We have a deficit now growing. Listen, last year we had a very wet water year. We had a surplus over 7 inches above average in terms of rainfall. The year before we had quite a bit of rain, so we were happy that that drought was gone. But all of this rain allowed all this brush to grow, and here we are after very dry months. This is what we have with this very windy conditions.
Also, I know, Maria. It is an emotional time for everybody out there. It sure is. All right, Gigi, you're there on the ground, and boy, in front of another home that has just gone up.
This is so difficult to watch. Let me get out of the way. You are looking at the Palisades branch of the public library here. It appears to be a total loss. One can only imagine the treasure stored inside, the books, the material, the community library, a center of the community. It appears to be a total loss. If photographer Tony Butita can pan a little bit over to the right, you can see the rest of what was the structures here, and that continues, and we continue to hear explosions just seconds before going on the air. We heard a very large explosion we believe came from the back of the Corpus Christi church and the school. We're going to show you what that looks like in just a minute, but you can see the devastation. Now, over where you see those flames and a little further to the right, that is where the Ralph's grocery store, we're trying to make our way there, but we just keep running into these fires, into the devastation, the destruction. That's Berkshire Hathaway, a real estate firm. That looks like a total loss, and all these buildings. We believe this might be Palisades Village right now. It's so hard. Cell phone connection is very, very spotty. It's very difficult sometimes to even look something up on a map to try to determine where you are. I want to go over. This is, we believe, again, part of Corpus Christi School. The school's principal called us, I'm told, asked me to please come and check on the school, on the church. This building is still standing, but there is very thick black smoke coming from behind it. We believe this is the building between, on the other side of the building is where the church is. We saw at least one of the large church structures, a total loss. All you could see was the metal outline of the Corpus Christi church. You just heard Maria Cuban celebrated so many important family moments at that church. A library, the center of a community, and they are basically burning to the ground. There are no firefighters here right now. They're trying to save homes, they're trying to save structures, and basically they just can't keep up. The Santa Ana winds continue to blow. You might be able to make out the American flag still blowing in all its glory up there, showing you how hard the wind continues to blow. Those embers continue to fly, cause new fires, cause spot fires. The loss is immense here, and we continue to hear explosions. We just heard a very loud explosion from the Corpus Christi church. Something
just exploded back there. The church, at least one major building, we don't know if it was the sanctuary or what it was, appears to be a total loss. And the homes, home after home, on block after block, just devastated, absolutely burnt to the ground, and so many homes continue to burn. Firefighters on many blocks telling us they have no water. They're pulling water from swimming pools, trying to save structures. They have no water. They don't know why. They're talking about possible broken pipes. They simply don't know, but they have no water on certain blocks. So certainly a challenge for these hardworking firefighters, some who've been on duty for 24 hours now, fighting the fire here, the Palisades fire. That is the latest. We're going to try to make our way to the Ralphs that we're told could be a total loss. But you can see the library behind me. Again, just a total loss, and it's just heartbreaking to see. And you can just see the building continue to collapse slowly in pieces. This is difficult, so difficult to watch. Yes, Gigi, it is collapsing right in front of us.
Gigi, you've been covering many fires throughout the years. Have you ever seen anything like this?
You know, we covered the Woolsey fire. We covered the Sayer fire. Fox 11, and me and my photographer and I, we were the only crew inside the Oak Ridge Mobile Home Park as 497 homes burnt around us. That was devastating. A lot of senior citizens, a lot of folks lost absolutely everything. One sweet woman that we interviewed lost her husband's ashes, and that's all that she had left of him beside the memories. And she was devastated that amongst the ashes of her home were her husband's ashes. And the heartbreak there was so real. So we have covered devastating fires, and this one is definitely going to go down in the books as one of the most devastating wildfires and urban fires that we've seen here in the Los Angeles area.
All right, Gigi, thank you very much for bringing this to us and being out there for us. Please stay safe, and we'll check in with you in just a little bit. It's just extraordinary that there's no water, and you just have to, the fire officials are just helpless.
It's a helpless situation out there. Let's go on to Coco McAvoy. She's in Altadena, and you can see that van just burning behind you.
Yes, it's a really difficult thing to see here in Altadena. We really were trying to get to another location, but we got stopped because Lake Avenue here, a lot of it is on fire. We're at Lake Avenue and Murata Place, and we're just showing you some of the devastation that is already unfolded here. Like you said, a van completely engulfed in flames, along with a portion of this building here. But when you go down the street as well, you can see that there are homes on fire in this neighborhood. A lot of people have been fleeing. I actually spoke to a family before I got on air with you who was telling me they don't even know where to go. They just packed up their family, they packed up their dog, and they tried to get out as soon as possible. We're walking here now towards Lake Avenue because we want to show you what's happening here. There are several emergency responders that are now coming to this area. Police officers along with fire crews as well. You can see that right now. There's a couple that's driving into that neighborhood, probably trying to check to see if their home is okay. But as we're here on Lake Avenue, you can just see that there is a structure there that is engulfed in flames. Firefighters have made their way to try to fight the fire at that structure for right now. But I can tell you, even as we've been walking, it's just constant. At one point, it's one building on fire. Firefighters are trying to fight that fire, and another fire starts immediately in the opposite direction from where they are. I can tell you, too, that there are really embers that are flying everywhere as well, so definitely a dangerous situation. That right there is an ambulance, so we're not sure if anyone is inside of any of these buildings or the homes that are engulfed in flames, but there are some people that are out here. Some people are getting video. Some people wanted to check on their homes because, of course, this is a very dangerous situation. But as we walk, it's kind of like what I was telling you. It just seems like more fires seem to spark because now right here, another fire has started. So this is a situation that's extremely difficult for firefighters because, you know, the resources are really difficult right now for them to battle these winds also battle the constant fires that are burning. And it looks like that might be some type of truck that's on fire. I can't tell right now because of the plume of black smoke as well, but it's just constant. A lot of fires all around us.
And Coco, so we were just with Gigi in the Palisades. They are not able to access water, the fire officials in that community, and they're just having to stand there helpless watching these structures burn. It looks like, I see water flowing down the street. It looks like they seem to have water out there. What's their water situation like?
It does look like they seem to have water here, at least at the end of the street where they are battling that fire. They're trying to get that one under control, but like I said, more keep sparking. And I also tell you that a lot of explosions are happening as well as here in this area because of what's burning. Yeah,
I'm hearing that, Coco. I know it's disorienting where you are, but I wonder if those are cars that are exploding, if it's power lines. It seems like there's a number of, are those apartment buildings or buildings that are under construction, but just big buildings in that area that are on fire.
Like a main thoroughfare.
That's exactly right. This building, for example, right here is under construction, and there's also what appeared to be a big truck that burned that's now on fire. I think from what we're seeing, a lot of it is vehicles that are exploding right now, but there are also houses that are on fire as well because the fire continues to jump. But as you see, this fire is really growing rapidly here, so I'm sure that fire crews, once they try to get that structure just right next to us under control, they will probably end up moving to this part of the fire as well, but a lot of emergency crews are in this area.
I'm looking at this gentleman who's in the middle of the street taking video, not advised. Anybody who's in that area just needs to get out of the way and make room for fire crews and first responders to be able to do what they have to do, because it seems like in where you are right now, everything is on fire. Coco, it's just spotting everywhere in that neighborhood right now.
Exactly. It really is important for people to evacuate as soon as possible. I understand that people are trying to document and they're trying to make sure that their homes are okay, but this really is a very dangerous situation, especially because a lot of people that are out here do not have fire equipment. So you got to think about all the smoke inhalation, the embers that are flying. It really is important for people to be as safe as possible.
Thank you, Coco, for being out there for us. Please take care of yourself. If you feel unsafe at any moment, get out of there.
That's right. Thank you, Coco, and stay safe. Also, let's go out to Mario Ramirez. He is, I believe he's at the Hearst Fire.
Yeah.
That's
in Silmar.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. Good morning.
Yes, right. With the Hearst Fire here in Silmar, and we're in a community, the Oak Ridge Mobile Home Community. I just talked to a few residents. It seems like some are actually starting to come back into the neighborhood to take a look at the fire activity here behind me. One guy we talked to was riding around on a golf cart, and he says his car down the street is packed, ready to go, and he is just standing by because the conditions here have improved at least. So we're talking about the community here with proximity to the 210 freeway. It's really close to the 210 freeway. They were evacuated here, residents. We watched some of the residents grab what they could, piling up with their families and pets. Some weren't sure exactly where they were going to go, just saying we're heading away from the flames. So this all broke out around 10 o'clock last night. It quickly grew to 500 acres in a few hours, driven by high winds and dry vegetation, and it broke out near the 5 freeway where it meets the 14 and 210 freeways. Several areas are still under mandatory evacuations, which means leave now. That's important to remember, although we are seeing some people come back into this area, and they include residents along Balboa Boulevard, Filbert Street, Bridle Ridge Road, and Nicholas Drive, and a little farther to the north, the area near the Whitney Canyon Park has also been ordered to evacuate. Now, evacuation warnings also in place. We know those can quickly change into orders, and that's basically a large area north of the 210 freeway from Roxford Street. Now, we can tell you that there's a lot of traffic in the area. The eastbound 210 freeway in Silmar is closed, and the connector to the southbound 5 freeway also shut down due to this fire activity. And we watched as people were basically stopping, pulling over on the side of the road there before getting onto the freeway, calling, getting on their phones, and trying to figure out what to do because there is some major congestion surrounding this fire. And we've talked about those winds for the last couple of minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes. We haven't really been feeling those strong wind gusts just like we did early this morning. We were really feeling those powerful winds carry those embers through the air and possibly create spot fires a little farther from where the active flames that we've been watching. So we're going to keep an eye on things here, but it appears that the flames have started to move north away from this community where hundreds of homes were threatened. Live in Silmar, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Mario, thank you. If you are just joining us 7 o'clock this hour, there is no other way to say it. Just a hellish, terrifying night for Los Angeles. We continue to follow multiple fires burning across Los Angeles County. Homes have burned, thousands more are being threatened.
That's right. Dozens of schools are closed this morning as well. For now, crews continue their best to save lives and property despite a water shortage in the Palisades community. Many fire officials out there standing helpless, watching the Palisades library burn, homes burn, churches burn, and just not able to even assist because of this lack of water. Araxia is with us now to give us an update on the latest with regard to containment.
Just when you think it can't get worse, it appears to, right? It's just terrible to see, and we are following. Actually, CAL FIRE has these active incidents for at least 5 fires as of 7 a.m. It keeps growing. So let's start with the largest one of those 5, the Palisades fire, burning 2,925 acres. This is near Malibu. Next up, you've got the Eaton Fire. This is near Pasadena. That has really doubled in size overnight, burning 2,227 acres. The Hearst Fire started in Silmar around 10:30 last night, and that has burned at least 505 acres, and that's really when the winds really picked up. The Woodley Fire has burned 75 acres since it was first spotted at 6:15 a.m. This was just outside of Van Nuys. This is near the Sepulveda Basin wildlife area, if you're familiar with that area. And finally, you have the Tyler Fire in Riverside County. This is near Coachella. That started around 3:30 in the morning. It has burned 15 acres so far. So yes, there are a number of spot fires. These spot fires are things we're covering, but obviously if we were to mention every spot fire, we would go crazy. These active incidents are big enough and important enough to point out, and this is what CAL FIRE wanted us to mention. Now, let me get you up to speed on the latest when it comes to the Palisades fire evacuation. So an evacuation center has been set up. This is for fire victims. Evacuees can go to the Westwood Recreation Center, and that opened yesterday, right when everything really began. That has been ongoing since yesterday morning at 10:30. The address for this location, 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard. Another evacuation center, that's an option as well. This is the Dream Center in Los Angeles. There you see the address right there, 2301 Bellevue Avenue, LA. When it comes to livestock, larger animals, a separate evacuation center is open at Pierce College, which is located at 1601 Winnetka Avenue in Woodland Hills. Meanwhile, when it comes to smaller pets, you know, cats, dogs, that sort of thing, those can be taken to the LA County Animal Shelter. The address for that location, 29525 Agora Road in Agora Hills. Now we're going to talk about schools. Nearly 24 Southern California school districts are canceling classes today. We're going to go through the districts in alphabetical order. I will speak slowly, but really, screen grab some of this information. Here we go. So we have Alhambra, Arcadia, Azusa, Baldwin Park, Burbank, Duarte, El Monte, Glendale, La Cañada, Los Virgenes, Monrovia, Mountain View, Pasadena, Rosemead, San Marino. You also have Santa Monica, Malibu Unified, Temple City. The Valle Lindo school districts are also closed. Students should not report to campus. Here are some of the colleges canceling classes today. Caltech's campus in Pasadena will be closed for all non-essential operations. All classes are canceled today. Mount St. Mary's University's Chelan campus is closed today. Pasadena City College announced that all classes will be held online. Santa Monica College's Malibu campus will also be closed. 13 campuses, which are under the Los Angeles Unified School Districts, will be closed. Those include Brentwood, Magnet, you've got Canyon Elementary School, Diego Rivera Learning Complex, Kenter Canyon Elementary Charter, Marquez Charter Elementary School, Palisades Charter Elementary School,
Palisades Elementary, Paul Revere Charter Middle School, Topanga Elementary Charter, University High School, and Woodland Hills Academy. And as I was speaking, we are just learning that the 15-acre Tyler fire in Riverside County, this is near Coachella, has just been fully contained.
That's good news.
Which is really good news. We'll take what we can get. The winds, you know, as Maria's been talking about this throughout the morning, as Samantha's been talking about, it's not like a power switch. It's not just going to go off.
Right.
It's not just going to magically get better.
And sometimes it gets worse as the sun comes out.
Right.
Because we can really assess the damage, but these winds, it's like the perfect storm. It's we did have, Maria was talking about the record amount of rainfall that we received last year, but then also because of that, things began to grow. So now with this fire, there's more vegetation and more brush to be burned.
And we had a really dry fall.
Yeah, so we didn't get much water. And then, of course, these raging Santa Ana winds, you know, these ember storms are just out of control. It's just an untenable situation.
It's the perfect, I guess you could say, recipe, right?
Yeah, and the lack of water in the Palisades.
It's unbelievable. I know some of this new information we're getting is truly unbelievable. And I feel, and I know you guys feel the same way, we're bringing all the information we can, trying to help people as much as we can, but there's this feeling of helplessness at the same time where you're just
where
like,
Gigi is in the Palisades.
what can you really do?
Have no water.
And there's so many people out there. There's this human element of people who have lost their homes and their memories and pictures and just so much. And we just empathize very deeply, but there's really no words to even, you know, offer any comfort to folks out there, but we are certainly with you and thinking of you.
And, you know, when you're looking at conditions like this, when you're talking 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts, fires can double in size, which is exactly what we saw with the Eaton Fire. Thousands, you know, had to flee from their homes right near Pasadena.
That's right, and we're going to go now to Coco McAvoy, who's in Altadena for us, to give us an update from her perspective on the Eaton Fire in Eaton Canyon. Hey, Coco, good morning.
Yes, we are on the ground here for the Eaton Fire. We are currently at Lake Avenue and Murata Place, and really fire is all around us. When you look this way, you can see that homes are on fire, and emergency crews are responding to this area, doing the very best they can. I guess if there is a silver lining that you can say is it appears that fire crews do have access to water in this neighborhood, so they are doing their best to fight the fire. But you can see this van is engulfed in flames, and now more of this building right here is engulfed as well. So it appears a lot of people are evacuating, but we did hear police over the loudspeaker telling people on this street that they have to evacuate no matter what. They've got to get up. If they're sleeping, they've got to get out of this area because it is really becoming quite a dangerous situation. But if we come over this way as well, you can see that fire crews have now just tapped another fire hydrant, trying to get water to this area to try to fight these flames as best they can. But you really have to feel for people in this community, because it is a feeling of hopelessness, because on top of needing to fight these flames, you're also talking about heavy winds that are making the conditions much more difficult for fire crews to fight this fire as well. And once they end up putting out one portion of the fire, another fire ends up sparking, and that's because there are embers that are flying everywhere as well. I just spoke to a man before I got on air with you, and he was telling me this is really devastating for him to see, because this is where he grew up. So he has family members whose homes are on fire, and it's just, you think about all the memories that go with a home. So a lot of people are leaving this area. They're trying to find somewhere to go. There are evacuation centers that are in place, such as the Pasadena Convention Center, but some people are also trying to see if they can link up with family and friends and stay with them. Another man who I spoke to said he and his girlfriend fled to La Cañada, Flint Ridge, but of course now La Cañada is also under evacuation. The entire area of La Cañada, Flint Ridge is under emergency evacuation order. So as we continue to walk up Lake Avenue here, you can see there are a number of emergency responders that are responding to this area. You've got ambulances, You've also got police officers on top of fire crews as well. And what's really frightening for people, I think, is the fact that there are constant explosions as well, because you have a lot of vehicles that are burning and exploding. So I'm going to send it back to you guys while we show you more of the area that is engulfed in flames.
Really quick, Coco, I know we saw a number of ambulances that you just passed by, which seems to be an unusual sight in some of these neighborhoods. Usually it's just fire crews that you see. Have you seen anybody taken out? Have you seen anybody being rescued from some of these buildings?
We have not, but you can imagine, because of the ambulances, sorry, something in my throat, that people are being taken to the hospital, but we do not have that information at this time.
Okay, Coco, stay safe out there. Thank you.
Air quality is not good, yeah.
No, not good at all.
So we're going to go now from Altadena, where this Eaton Fire is, to check in with Gigi Graciette, who is in Palisades at this fast-moving fire that's already scorched almost 3,000 acres. Gigi, good morning to you. What's the latest? You see those embers flying behind you.
Okay. It is absolutely crazy, as LA City Fire put it. The damage done here is catastrophic. I'm on Alma Real Drive. Let me step out of the shot. Now, in the distance, do you see those flames? That is the Palisades branch of the public library. That is going to be a total loss. I'm going to ask photographer Tony Butita to pan off to the right. That thick black smoke is coming from Corpus Christi Church and School. They have lost one building at least. It is hard to determine exactly which building is burning right now, but I can tell you the smoke is black, it's thick, which means it is burning something right now. And earlier we heard an explosion come from in between the school and the church. Now you are looking at Alma Real Drive. This is right between, this is right next to Palisades Recreation Center, a little park, and you can see the damage done. There is house after house after house on this block that continues to burn this morning. We're going to just keep panning over to keep showing you. This house is a total loss. Across the street, I can't show you right now, but that is a total loss. And look at the size of that tree that has come crashing down. Just a moment ago, fire crews were trying to get through here. They could not. They had to back up and go the other way. And then you see in the distance there to the left, you see a house standing, while houses on either side of it have burnt to the ground. And that shows, that speaks to how erratic the wind is. We have seen this countless times at major fires, how fires tend to hopscotch sometimes through blocks. They leave one home standing and they burn everything else to the ground. And you see there that massive tree that has come collapsing down. And all on this side of the block, all of these houses appear to have burned to the ground. And then you have that house just standing there. I'm going to bring photographer Tony Butita. Bear with me, these challenges of reporting live. I want to go back this way again. I want to go back to Corpus Christi, the center of a community, the church, the library. This is really the heart of any community. And you can see that thick black smoke. That is a building that is currently burning right now. I saw a building, just the metal was standing, the building was gone, and it has hit something else, and it continues to burn. Now, I was on the other side in front of Corpus Christi Church on Carey Street between Toyopa Drive and Sunset Boulevard. Firefighters there had no water. Their frustration, they were watching a house burn, and all they could do was pull water from a pool to try to save a nearby structure because the structure next to it was too far gone. Why they had no water, they don't know. They're sent on their assignment. They don't know the logistics of what's happening, but they do know the challenges, and the challenges are they had no water, and we're watching this house burn to the ground. It is heartbreaking. It is devastating, and you can bet this is going to be the center of a lot of investigative work as to why certain blocks had no water. Are there broken pipes? Is there a defective water system? Did the water just run out? What happened on these blocks? And it's just house after house. On Toyopa Drive, we saw entire blocks of homes burnt to the ground. The damage is catastrophic. The damage is devastating. And again, you are looking live at the public library. The Palisades branch of the public library will be a total loss. It is just collapsing. We were standing in front of it as the building was just collapsing right in front of us. No firefighters there. They're trying to save structures that they can save, and the ones that are a total loss, they're just leaving to burn right now. It is just absolutely devastating to watch, and that is the latest. Again, if you're just joining us here on Good Day LA, we're covering the Palisades fire along with the other major fires in Southern California that are burning right now. Tens of thousands of people remain under a mandatory evacuation order, and this is why their homes have burnt to the ground. I'm just going to leave you with a shot of the home here on Alma Real, burnt to the ground, and this is just one of a multitude, too many to be able to even count. We can't even get through the block to be able to tell you how many homes on this street alone have been lost. I'm Gigi Graciette, reporting live from the Palisades fire. We're going to continue bringing you the coverage of the damage done and the homes and structures that continue to burn. There are multiple businesses that have also been lost.
Oh my gosh.
It's just, it is almost unbelievable to even see with your own eyes. It's just the only thing that's left on some of these homes is just the chimney for blocks and blocks, the entire street, Gigi.
The entire street. And then you have one house, and we're so happy for that family. Their house is standing. It was spared. The fire just hopscotched right over it. I don't know, photographer Tony Butita, come with me once again, and you can see the fire here on Alma Real. It continues to smolder. There are open gas lines, of course, and the fire continues to burn. There are no firefighters on this street because the street is almost a total loss. Tony, if you can come with me once again. It's very difficult, challenging. The wind is very rough in this neighborhood. Come, I just want to show folks at home how the fire just hopscotched this block. This house here is a total loss. You can't see it on the camera right now. We're going to try to move. This house here, right next to that house, that two-story house, is a total loss. And on the other side of that collapsed tree, that house is burned to the ground too, and yet this house remains standing. It's wonderful for that family, but I'm sure they're going to feel horrible to see the loss on their block and all of their neighbors that have lost their homes.
It's almost like survivor's remorse, right? It's this mix of, my goodness, thank God my home is okay.
Why?
But then everybody around, all the other homes around you have just burned to the ground. I have not seen anything like this, Gigi. And then you mentioned that water was a big issue in that neighborhood. The scene that you showed us earlier where the firefighters were just standing there with their hoses in their hand and no water coming out and just watching helplessly as these homes burn, that scene is going to be emblematic of the questions that get asked after this is all said and done.
And I can tell you, those firefighters were heartbroken. Obviously, they have families, they have homes too. Yes. And watching a house burn is not what they ever want to see. It hurts them as much as it's hurting all of us to see this. But they just didn't have any water. And they were pulling water from the swimming pool. They tried to save that house. They couldn't. So what they were doing is making a sort of a last stand and saving the one structure on that block that was not on fire directly across the street from Corpus Christi. That was happening on Carey Street, again between Toyopa Drive and Sunset Boulevard, where the Corpus Christi church is. You heard Maria Quibon speak of all the family events that are celebrated at church, and I can't stress that enough. The church, the library, this is the heart of the community. Yes. Its neighbors, the folks who live here and call home. There are tree branches down throughout the area, everywhere, and that gigantic tree that came collapsing down. The damage is it's just horrific to watch. And again, we're hearing that Ralph's may be a total loss. Palisades Village, we're trying to get there. We have to reroute a lot because of the trees that have come crashing down. There are burnt cars that were parked on the street absolutely everywhere. It is very hard to see up close and personal.
Oh my gosh, Gigi, thank you very much for being out there. Please stay safe, and we'll check in with you in just a little bit.
Grateful for your reporting.
Thank you.
I know that Maria, you've been watching all this unfold right now.
Yes,
it hits close to home for you.
It does.
It does. We've gone to that parish so many times. We were just there last week at Christmas time. We were walking around that beautiful neighborhood because of all the beautiful Christmas decorations that everyone had. You know, people work hard to get their home, their dream home, and it's in this beautiful neighborhood, and it's gone. It's hard to see family members home, more than likely gone. I've asked Gigi to maybe just walk around the corner there, but I'm imagining, looking at the scene, that it is not going to be there. Listen, the danger's not over. You saw the wind and how strong it was there where Gigi's at in the Pacific Palisades. The embers that are still getting caught up in these wind gusts, that home may be standing right now, but these embers, as they're blowing around in these winds, can still cause more fires. So we want you to keep that in mind, and of course we want Gigi and the crew and Tony to stay safe in the meantime. But looking at our current wind situation here, these are sustained winds in and around the Santa Monica Mountains, down below where they're at in the Pacific Palisades, out towards Malibu. Look at these winds, 25, 24 mile per hour winds. Gusts are going to be at least double that, 40 to 50 miles per hour. And some of the higher topped areas, some of the foothill communities in the mountains, we're talking about wind gusts nearing 60 to 80 miles an hour. A little calmer near downtown, but out towards Orange County, yes, very gusty. Inland Empire still looking at some gustier winds. They've weakened a little bit in just the last hour as we've been watching, but it is still under that wind criteria where the wind warnings and certainly those red flag warnings are still in effect. In fact, the red flag warning has been extended beyond today through tomorrow for many areas, and some areas as late as Friday. So that means that the fire danger is still there. Explosive fire growth potential is still there. Needless to say, the air quality really bad across SoCal right now. Look at all of the dots, the red dots and the orange dots, and it's that fine particulate matter that you cannot see. Even if you're not near the fires, that gets caught up in the winds, and fires create their own weather and atmospheric conditions, and so the winds can be erratic, and it's blowing a lot of that stuff even to where you are, where the fires may not be even near you. So we encourage you to stay indoors, close your windows, and if you have to get in your car and go somewhere, make sure you put it on that recirc mode so that you don't inhale that very toxic air. It's very bad for our lungs. I want you to remember yesterday we talked about rain and snow. This is part of an area of low pressure that dropped down the coast. Part of the recipe, if you will, or that dynamic that really added to the severity and strength of those winds. It brought in all this cold air from the north. We got high pressure behind it, and together it created this pressure gradient that really helped drive those winds out of the northeast. These were strong Santa Ana winds of the extreme nature. We have talked about Santa Ana winds in the past, but this time it was really extreme, and that's why the National Weather Service put out that PDS, or particularly dangerous situation. Now here's what's happening. That low is moving off to the east. Sadly, it is not going to impact us with any precipitation, but perhaps the southern and eastern portion of San Diego County and parts of the desert Southwest is going to continue to move east, but not until later today. So that pressure gradient, if you will relax a bit as we get to the evening hours, and it really won't be until then when we'll start to notice a real difference in these winds. So between now and then, these winds, the danger will continue. High pressure will still be with us. That means the offshore flow will still be with us through even the weekend, so the fire danger will still be with us, and that's why the red flag warning has been extended again through tomorrow, at least for many areas, and even some areas through Friday. Critical fire weather conditions. This means that if there is a spark, there is a fire, and it will spread rapidly or explode, and that means everyone here, not just where the fires are at, but really this could erupt anywhere still throughout the day today. So we encourage you to be prepared. Remember the ready, set, go that fire officials tell us all the time to be prepared. Red flag warning means parking restrictions out there. Get your car facing the right way. Have that bag ready just in case it will affect you. High wind warnings across SoCal, widespread, 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts still possible through this evening. After that, we're hoping that things will calm down. Some of the impacts, of course, you saw the trees, big trees coming down. That can still happen through the next couple of days. Travel will be impacted significantly, so we're encouraging you to stay home. Dry conditions out there already. It's going to get even drier. Relative humidity values going to lower, adding to the danger outside. The water year, This water year we measure from the start of October. October 1st until now has been the third driest year on record for us. Look at this. Not much rain at all. January, typically the second wettest month of the year. December, the third wettest month of the year. Look at hardly any rain. So we have a deficit now in our drought. We now have a new drought that is developing across Southern California. We had a rainy year last year. The last 2 years, in fact, we had a surplus. We had above average rainfall. So we had all that rain, all that brush that grew, and then we had a dry summer this summer, and then the dry fall months, and this is what we get, extra fuel for these fires. This is our futurecast. Look at the wind gusts, very strong still as we get through the morning hours. We're still looking at these winds very strong through the lunch hour, and then we start to see a little easing of it as we get to the evening, and then overnight tonight, hopefully, or at least tonight, firefighters will be able to get a better handle. Maybe when that we can get the fixed wing aircraft up flying, maybe to help with the firefighting, water droppings perhaps later this afternoon, this evening, and then as we look at late tomorrow morning into late tomorrow will be much weaker winds. But notice the arrows still coming out of the northeast. We get a little burst of stronger winds late tomorrow night. Hopefully, won't be long, and then by Friday into the weekend, maybe even a little bit of an onshore flow and a little moisture from the ocean. But until then, really high fire danger. We encourage you to remember, stay up to date with the forecasts here. Tune in, keep it here on Fox 11. Prepare with your family now, and remember the 6 Ps, that go bag with your people. Life is always the most important, then property. Get your papers in order, prescriptions, pictures, your personal computer, and thus alike. Here's the 7-day forecast. We've got to get through the next couple of days. The winds will be around. It'll be on the breezy side, and then much better weather as we get into the weekend. There is a hint we could get another moderate offshore wind event as we get to next week. It won't be as strong as this one, but perhaps it will be again next week. Anyway, 38 up into the mountains, 61 in Lancaster today to that 70 degrees in Palm Springs. Hang in there, guys. We've got some travel, of course, impacted by this on the roads. Samada's got to look at some of the closures around those fires. Hey, Samada.
Yeah, good morning, Marie. Good morning, everyone. You can see the smoke that is making its approach in and around near the fire zone. So the roadways, of course, are being impacted by the lower visibility. A couple locations, of course, that we wanted to bring your attention to is the fires that are actively going on. Please, a reminder, stay away from these locations. The Palisades fire, here are the closures. PCH in both directions from McClure Tunnel. So yes, this is Ocean Avenue near Lincoln Boulevard, Santa Monica, through the McClure Tunnel area, all the way into Las Flores Canyon Road, which is Malibu, closed until further notice as firefighters, again, battling that blaze. Topanga Canyon Boulevard also being impacted. Mulholland Drive to PCH, you can see here, due to the red flag conditions. And back to the Hearst fire, the closures there. Westbound side of the 210 also shut down until further. Yarnell Street all the way to Roxford Street, a hard closure remains in effect. Now the northbound side of the 5 as well as the southbound side of the 5, the connector road to the eastbound 210, you cannot get through due to, again, the Hearst fire actively working there. And the latest fire, this is going to be the Woodley fire near the Sepulveda Basin. It has traffic incredibly slow in and around the 405 and the 101, so there's a lot of spectators slowing. Just make sure you keep your eyes on the road, take it slow, and be extra cautious out there. Jen, Melvin.
All right, Samada, thank you very much, and great reminders for everybody out there this morning. Now to this, everybody. Firefighters say that the Hearst fire in Sylmar has swelled past 500 acres with no signs of slowing down.
So it started late last night near Yarnell Street and spread very quickly in just under half an hour. We have Mario Ramirez there live with an update. Mario, what can you tell us?
Good morning. We're on Sombrero Street in the Oak Ridge mobile home community. Earlier this morning, we watched as, I would say, dozens of residents packed their things and started leaving this area. And we've also been watching the flames that have been making their way to the north away from these properties. So that is the good news. But unfortunately, it is still raging and the winds are starting to pick up. Now, I have Jesse and Michelle here. They just pulled over looking for some information. A lot of people have been doing the same thing. Thanks for talking to us this morning. What's this evacuation been like for you both?
This is very hard for us. We do have already experienced last time
When was that?
2019. It's the same brass fire. Yes. And then we went to the evacuation center. People are very helpful and giving some food. And the other health provider.
You evacuated last night. This fire, the Hearst fire, started at around 10 o'clock. So walk me through, what was that like? What did you grab from your home? What did you do?
Passport. Our passport and our pets and their foods. And that's it. So we just leave the house and leave everything in there.
Now you came back, you sort of drove through the area to survey what's going on. What's the plan from here? Because the evacuation orders are still in place. People aren't advised to repopulate these areas. What are you guys going to do next?
We're going to wait until the evacuation will be lifted.
Wait until the evacuations are lifted. Okay, that's what they suggest. And in the meantime, where are you going to go?
Are we going to go back by the gate? We stayed there last night, and then watching the fire. How is it going to go? So my daughter and my kids my daughter and my pets are there. So we're going to go back there and wait until the evacuation again.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. We hope everything goes okay. I know it's still a rough time. You've had a
welcome
fist bump. I love it. I love it. Thank you, and I appreciate the smiles during this rough time. So definitely a testament to the kind of people you are. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care. So a lot of residents doing the same thing, sort of coming back to this neighborhood, figuring out where things stand, checking on their homes. A lot of them left late last night. They got those emergency alerts on their phones, letting them know that they should leave immediately. But of course, we always know some people stay behind and wait it out and see exactly what those flames do. So they were very close earlier this morning. Around 4 o'clock, this whole mountainside was raging. The flames were really close to those power lines there. A lot of residents were leaving, as I mentioned earlier, and panicking as they were. But a few hours makes a lot of difference here, and these fire crews have done a great job here in Sylmar.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a few hours, even a few seconds.
It just looks so much different where Mario is compared to where Gigi or Coco is.
Yeah.
These fires. Thank you, Mario.
Well, for anyone that's been impacted by the Hearst fire, evacuation shelters are located at the Richie Valens Recreation Center on Laurel Canyon Boulevard in Pacoima. Also at Northridge Park on Reseda Boulevard in Northridge, and Sepulveda Recreation Center on Kester Avenue in Panorama City.
We also have to tell you that Palisades Charter High School has been hit hard. So its baseball field and its grounds have been destroyed. We were watching this last night with our reporter Matthew Seedorf was walking in that area with our photographer Sam Dubin. Sam is actually an alum of,
is he really?
Of that high school, and just witnessing what he saw, something that he's so familiar with, just absolutely go up in flames right in front of his eyes, and not being able to do anything about it, and some of those memories that he had, that was really something that was tough to see.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. And the fast-moving Palisades fire forced thousands of folks to flee quickly. Some residents escaped on foot, leaving their vehicles behind without keys. Evacuation routes were so jammed, officials had to use bulldozers just to clear nearly 200 abandoned cars. The fire was moving so fast, fire officials were telling these folks, you got to go.
Right, and they did. And then it created, because there's only one way out in that area, so it created this, I mean, essentially what you're looking at right now, which is a parking lot. And fire crews obviously have to get to where they're going, so they had no choice at that point but to bulldoze those cars out of the way. And we were listening. There was, I think it started when maybe somebody who was a few cars ahead of everybody else started panicking and ditched their car. And then when you see that and you have no other information available to you at that moment, then you're going to do the same.
Absolutely.
And that's what so many people did, and they just abandoned all of their cars, as you see.
And I think one of the things when you hear fire officials talk about fire behavior, one of the things that's always of great note is these embers, because it's the embers that move so quickly and they're starting other fires. Well, then when you have this, perfect storm or recipe of these Santa Ana winds at, upwards of 80, 90 miles per hour, it's just untenable with these embers. They're starting ember storms, and the fire is just moving so quickly and at such a great pace.
And especially, you can see, what is that, a dog bed that somebody has in their car? I mean, some people had car seats in the back of their cars. You do not want to take any kind of chance when you're with your family, because the most important thing is to escape with your life. And you can see, I mean, the way the fire behavior has been so erratic with these Santa Ana winds, the embers can truly go anywhere. And when you're talking about 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts, these embers can travel as far away as 5 miles from its origin location.
And then because of those winds, you couldn't get those, the water reserves up in the air, those helicopters up in the air.
It has just become, as Roxy said earlier, just this perfect recipe for as much destruction as possible. Let's take a look at this map right now, because you can see all the orange circles there. Okay, so these are all of the reported power outages in the area. We're told more than 184,000 people in LA County are being impacted. And so, that being said, as part of your go bag, right, you're urged to bring your chargers and anything else. And I do want to mention there are 3 apps that you really have to download if you're in these evacuation areas or in the periphery. Of course, the Fox mobile app, because you have us, or we're going to be updating you on all the info. But then there's this Watch Duty app. And this is an app that a lot of us have been using to keep track in real time as notifications come in about some of these evacuation orders and as they change. Also, and we heard Captain Sheila Burko with LA County Fire mention this one too, the Genesis Protect app, and that's spelled GENASYS Protect, and that should keep you updated on any notifications that you need to know as far as evacuation orders and the like.
Yeah, and with that, the Eaton Fire doubles in size overnight. This is the fire that broke out on Eaton Canyon in that area in the Altadena community. It forced thousands of folks to flee from their homes, which is right near Pasadena.
That's right, and Coco McAboy is live in Altadena with a closer look. Coco, it just, I feel like every single time we come to you, it just gets worse and worse. My goodness.
It does feel like it is getting worse here in Altadena, and that's because of the wind conditions and the fact that we have a lot of embers flying as well. So we were on Murata Place. We had to move from that street because the fire was closing in. So we're now a street over on East Sacramento, and you can just see homes burned to the ground here. Also, a lot of cars scorched as well. Many people in this neighborhood were hoping the majority, if not all the people in this neighborhood, have evacuated. Fire crews, police officers have been over the loudspeakers telling people, if you are still in this area, you have got to evacuate for your safety. Again, you can see that this neighborhood is on fire. We know the Eaton Fire has grown to 2,200 acres, and the conditions are making it very difficult for crews to fight this fire, but the fire crews are doing an incredible job, doing the absolute best they can to try to save as many structures as they can, but also trying to put the fire out as well. You can see this power line has gone down as well. That's something else that you've got to be very careful about in these neighborhoods, is the power lines, obviously. But they do have water here in this neighborhood. They've been tapping every possible hydrant that they can to fight these flames. But at this point, you can see that it's really interesting how this fire is moving, because there's one home that's still standing, but the home right next to it is burned to the ground. And again, that is because of these embers. And as I've been telling you, too, as we're speaking to people right before they're evacuating in their cars, they're telling us how devastating this is for them. This is their childhood. This is where they worked hard to buy these homes. These cars that you're seeing are destroyed now and are not salvageable. But fire crews are out here fighting the flames as best they can. You can see that a little bit of this power pole is on fire now as well, and that's because of those embers embers sparking and flying everywhere as crews continue to fight this fire. There are several thousands upon thousands of people that are evacuated because of the fire here. We know the Pasadena Convention Center is a place where you can safely evacuate at this point. But again, it is very important for people to evacuate if they haven't so far, especially because there are also a number of explosions that keep going off, and that's because of the power lines, but also because of the vehicles that are in this neighborhood. But you're just seeing, obviously, homes burned to the ground.
I mean, just for blocks and blocks, Coco, this is why it's so important to please heed those evacuation orders. All the stuff that's left behind is a physical representation of the memories that you have. You will still have your memories. You cannot afford to lose your sense of safety or your life, frankly. And these embers can travel so fast at the drop of a hat. How many homes have you seen catch on fire just in the limited amount of time that you have been in that neighborhood, Coco?
You know, Armando and I were counting, and then we ended up losing count. I mean, at this point, it's definitely at least a dozen or so. And like I said, the fire is jumping. So now we're walking down this driveway, and you can see that these two homes have been burned. And at this point, with the embers flying everywhere, there's no telling if the homes next to it will soon catch fire as well. So obviously a very dangerous situation. And oh, well, now as we see, right as we were speaking, there was an ember that flew here, and you can see that smoke is now coming from this home. So that's how quickly it happens.
And it takes, I'm telling you, just a matter of minutes for homes to go up.
That's right.
When the embers travel like that. Look at that. Is that a...
It's the embers.
I don't even know what I'm looking at right now.
That fan the fires. It's the embers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course. And
it
these
looks like washer dryers.
Right. And then the other issue is when the embers travel on the trees fall, making it impossible for fire crews to get access to some of those roads as well. I just want to, if we could just listen in for a moment.
Oh, yeah. If you want to listen in, you can hear this fire roaring.
Imagine if you're somebody at home and this is your house, or your friend's house, or your neighbor's house, or a family member's house.
Yeah.
Just what must be going through your mind, or just the extraordinary trauma that's going to be attached to this.
Nothing but trauma.
Oh my God.
That is God-awful.
Look, if you're not somebody who prays or believes in a higher power, just think a positive thought for all of these people all across Southern California today that are going through immeasurable, extraordinary loss.
Yeah.
This is just unbelievable. And if you are somebody who prays, say a prayer. Say multiple.
I mean, look at how black that smoke is right now. It's remarkable, the juxtaposition when you see where Mario's live shot was at the Hearst fire, and then Coco where you are at this Eaton fire. Just the entire sky is now black with that smoke, and you can see. Look at another home behind her is just.
And where are you
up
right now, Coco? Can you give us a sense, like, what street are you on?
Yes, so we're on East Sacramento Street and Lake Avenue, and we were on Lake Avenue and Murata Place, which is the street right over, but that street has been taken over by fire crews who are trying to save as many homes as they can. They're obviously in this neighborhood as well, fighting the flames, but yeah, we're on East Sacramento Street, and it's just home after home that's burned, and cars as well. And some of these homes, you can't even make out the addresses, but I know this home that just burned on fire is 803 East Sacramento Street. So obviously our thoughts and prayers are with whoever owns or resides in this home, because this home is on fire, and because of the resources, fire crews are not able to get to it just yet. They're doing the best they can to put out the fires that keep sparking, and obviously make sure these power poles also are continuing to spark, because that really could lead to quite a dire situation, especially because it was burning up top, and now there's more embers that have traveled. So now more of this power pole is on fire, which could be a very dangerous situation.
Okay, Coco, thank you for your reporting out there. Stay safe. We're going to let you catch your breath, my friends.
Yes,
thank you for your work out there. And here are some evacuation numbers for the Eaton Fire reported by the Angeles National Forest just before 4 o'clock this morning. Over 52,000 residents and nearly 21,000 structures are now under evacuation orders. As far as evacuation warnings, we're talking over 46,000 residents and 18,051 structures are under those.
The Angeles National Forest put out this update just after 3 o'clock this morning that residents north of Woodbury to the 210 freeway and east of JPL Laboratories are under evacuation orders. Evacuation warnings are now in effect for residents north of the 210 freeway and east of Angeles Crest to JPL. They do note an evacuation center at the Pasadena Convention Center has been put together. And finally, there's new road closures for the Eaton Fire announced just after 6:30 this morning. Angeles Crest Highway 2 now closed from Locking Out of Flint Ridge to Angeles Forest Highway. Also, Angeles Forest Highway is closed at Big Tahunga Road.
And Maria, you know, you said this best earlier, just watching this, and all we can do right now is just wait for these winds to die down.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to happen in the next hour. In fact, not until later this afternoon and early evening when we'll start to notice really the noticeable change or the relaxing of those winds. In the meantime, please use this time. If you're not around the fire directly under evacuation zone, you want to get ready, so make sure you are prepared, especially if you're in that ready zone. You want to make sure that you have all your paperwork in order, have your ready, set, go bag ready in case you are evacuated. Some of the peak wind gusts over the last 24 hours, just wanted to show you how strong it was. Magic Mountain Truck Trail, this is in the San Gabriel Mountains, 86-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Fremont Canyon out towards Orange County and Santa Ana Mountains, 80-mile-per-hour winds there. The wind gusts. Running Springs, 74 miles per hour. Eaton Canyon, where those fires are still going, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and Rancho Cucamonga with 63 miles an hour. Yesterday, Running Springs got some snow because of this cold area of low pressure, which has really dropped to our south, and it is moving south and east away from Baja eventually later today. And as that low moves off, high pressure, that pressure gradient between this high and that low will relax a little bit. It will still be coming out of the northeast, so those dangerous winds and dry conditions will still be with us, but at least that will be the beginning of those winds really starting to back down. In the meantime, we still have the powerful Santa Ana winds causing widespread damage, potentially with these gusts still expected anywhere from 60 to even 80+ miles an hour. Some isolated areas up in the mountaintops getting some 90 to even 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible. Extreme wildfire danger. When we have these red flag warnings in effect, that means that if there is a spark and there is a fire, it can explode and spread rapidly, and that is what we saw exactly yesterday at 10:30 in the morning or just before with that Palisades fire, and this is what happened with the other fires, including that Eaton Fire and the Hearst Fire. The potential for downed trees, more of that certainly possible. Power lines going down. They're doing these just precautionary measure, of course, but shutting down a lot of the power for a lot of homes, not necessarily related to the fires, but definitely affected by the fires. So just be mindful of that. And if you do have to be out and about, make sure you close your car windows. Air quality is very bad. This is what we call and deem by the National Weather Service as a particularly dangerous situation, PDS. So on the level of wind events, this is at the extreme level because of all the dynamics in place, including very low relative humidity values. It's a lot of dry brush out there, and it's continuing to get drier as we get through the day today in these very strong gusty winds. Wind warnings are set to expire in many areas at around 6 p.m. tonight, so that is when we start to see those winds relax according to the computer models, so we will wait until then. Is there any rain in the forecast? I know we had a little bit of rain yesterday for parts of the high desert areas at the Inland Empire, but under a half an inch to a third, so it didn't do much, but we did get a lot of snow, 5-7 inches up in the mountains, so that did help mitigate fire danger there. As we look at our future cast here, high
high pressure is just going to continue to dominate. You can tell, look at how clear it is across the west. So that means the offshore flow will continue. As we get to late Thursday and Friday, we're going to watch an approaching area of low pressure, and that will help sort of displace or weaken that ridge of high pressure. So we'll see those winds also relax as we get to the weekend. The bad news is we may get another round of Santa Ana winds next week. At this point, it looks more moderate, so not as strong as this one. We just got to get through, again, the next 24, 48 hours of high fire danger in the meantime. So please keep that in mind as you plan. Maybe stay home today, work remotely if you can, because we want to try to keep those roads clear. There are a lot of roads closed. Samada's going to go over all of that, of course, here with another traffic update. Hey, Samada.
Yeah, good morning, Rick. Good morning, everyone. And in and around near the fire zone, of course, we have the billowing smoke, and that is reducing visibility along the local roads near areas like the Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, and the Hearst fire. And along with those conditions, we do have closures in place. Constant reminder to avoid the area as firefighters continue to do their amazing work. Palisades fire closures, here they are. PCH, both directions remain closed from the McClure Tunnel in Santa Monica, and it stretches all the way into Malibu at Las Flores Canyon Road. Also, Topanga Canyon Boulevard closed in both directions, also due to the red flag conditions. And the Hearst fire, if this is part of your route, you want to reroute, especially we're dealing with the fire conditions near the westbound side of the 210 from Yarnell Street to Roxford Street. It's a hard closure, and you can also not get on, shut down, northbound side of 5 as well as the southbound side of 5, the connector road to the eastbound side of the 10. And you can see here why, how close the flames are to the freeway. And speaking of flames close to the freeway, we have this latest fire, the Woodley fire, currently at 75 acres. It has been burning for the last hour or so. This is near Balboa Boulevard through the Sepulveda Basin. You can see the areas along the 405 as well as the 101. Very slow due to spectators slowing there. A reminder, you want to make sure you pay close attention to the roadways due to the winds, the crosswinds through some of our locals' canyons and passes. Really difficult, especially where we're still dealing with those ferocious winds gusting 60 plus miles an hour even at this hour. Jen, Melvin.
Hi, Samada. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, we go now to Mario Ramirez, who's been standing by for us in Sylmar, and he's got the latest on the Hearst fire. Good morning, Mario.
Good morning. It still sits at about 500 acres and it's still burning out of control. No containment. We should mention we're at the Oak Ridge mobile home community, and this area was basically leveled by the Sayer fire in 2008 that destroyed 400 plus mobile homes. This community has about 600, and you can see what we've been watching here. The flames have been moving north away from this community towards that canyon there, but there is still a concern that with these strong winds that we're really feeling now that are starting to pick up, that those flames could pass embers and the winds could carry those and start additional hot spots. Now I have George and Magdalena here. They evacuated and they're coming back to take a look at some of the activity and what their home looks like. Walk me through what this was like for you. You evacuated last night?
Yeah, we did. Last night my neighbor called. She said, George, did you look outside your front door? So I did, and I said, oh no, let's get out. And I told my wife, Magdalena, and we just ran, grabbed the 2 dogs and some food and just headed out of here. But we needed a hotel that will accept pets. So we called around and then we found a Motel 6 down in Glendale. So we went there, we stayed the night with the 2 dogs. This morning, we were watching the news all night, and this morning we decided, let's just go back and see what's going on. So here we are.
And what do you think, seeing what you saw last night, coming back, Magdalena, and seeing what it looks like now?
Right now, it's, I think it's not really better, but right now it's gonna be afraid because I have a dog and there's a lot of people here. You know, they stay here, a lot of elder people here. That's why I'm afraid. And then last night, I keep yelling to my husband. I said, let's go now, bring that dog now, grab the dog now. I said, okay, don't be nervous. Okay, I'm here and everything is ready. I said, okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's got to be stressful, and that's what fire officials recommend: is you have a plan, have everything you need, and get ready to go at a moment's notice. Have you guys done this before? Have you been through evacuations?
I was back in 2017, 18, I think it was, but the flames were so much higher than this one, and that one was worse. I mean, that was, everybody had to evacuate. And then, like you said earlier, that the Sayer, I wasn't here then, that was the worst. It destroyed everything. But management has done a great job here, because they have the gardeners weed out around the perimeter of the entire park to leave about, I don't know, 30 feet up the mountain. So that prevents the fire to travel into the homes. And as you can see today, thank goodness, thank God that nothing was destroyed.
Yeah, and have you seen some of the other activity in Pasadena with the fire there, and the Pacific Palisades? When you hear that homes were lost, people were injured, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, that's made just a very afraid that what happened, because this is my first time what happened to my life. Yeah. Very so sad.
But we did see the, as we're traveling down the 210 last night, we saw the Altadena fire, and it's not a pretty scene. And then again this morning, we're coming up the Verdugo Road from Colorado Boulevard. So the 2 freeway, big dark cloud above us. Unbelievable how big and huge it was.
Yeah, and speaking of, thank you both for talking to us, but as you mentioned, there are multiple fires burning really all around us, and before we send it back to you, I just want to show you this huge plume of smoke spreading across the area, and we're not sure which fire this is coming from, but that is basically what people are dealing with, waking up this morning, seeing smoke, multiple fires in different regions here. We'll stay on top of this one. That's the latest in Silmar. I'm Mario Ramirez. We'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Mario. Yeah, it's startling to think that no matter where you are, if you're driving somewhere this morning, you're going to either see or smell the smoke from these fires. And just into our newsroom, we should mention we have new evacuation notices from the Glendale Fire Department. An evacuation order has just been issued for Chevy Chase Canyon residents. The evacuation route is south on Chevy Chase via Emerald Isle. Do not proceed north, they're telling people.
And here's a live look at downtown LA. We are expecting to hear from fire officials in just a few minutes as we approach 8 o'clock.
Yes, they are set to hold a news conference at 8 o'clock this morning. We'll bring it to you live just as soon as that begins. We should also tell you that more than 10,000 homes are being threatened by the Palisades fire. Look at this video that was shot. I believe this was overnight in the Pacific Palisades. A man and his dog were inside this home filming this video. We can only hope that that gentleman and his pet are okay. Right now, we don't have confirmation on that, but this is a video that certainly made the rounds, and it's gone viral. As you can see how close those flames are. That is terrifying to see.
Just be okay. You're gonna be okay, all right? You're gonna be okay. Don't worry about that, bitch. Okay.
Ah, my goodness. I can't imagine how he must have been feeling. We don't, there's a lot of questions that are going to be coming out of this video, obviously, why he remained there, but we know it's not easy. We know that these flames can spread erratically. And we also know that when you're talking about winds that are 60 to 80 miles an hour in some of these burn spots, one ember can travel up to 5 miles. So there's a level of unpredictability that comes along with a fire of this magnitude. And we're not just dealing with one, we're dealing with 3 major fires in our area as we speak. And we should also mention an evacuation center has been set up for those folks.
Embers are always something that's part of the conversation when you talk about fire behavior. But then when you have these raging Santa Ana winds, these embers are flying faster and faster at an unprecedented pace, and even starting these major ember storms that look like fireflies in the sky, but there are these embers that are just raging, and then it's just so many things. Water in the Palisades, because of the winds, they can't get up in the air. The super scoopers. It's just become an untenable situation in that community, and many fire officials are standing by helpless in some cases.
That's right, and we are poised to hear an update from those fire officials to just give us an update on the acreage, the containment. We believe that all these fires are 0% contained right now, but we do, as we approach the 8 o'clock hour, await from fire officials there. We've been doing this coverage for, I believe, since 11 o'clock, continuing coverage yesterday morning. There's no more terrifying word when you're talking about Santa Ana winds that are coming at you this fast than the word fire. And we had a sense that something like this would happen.
Santa Maria were talking about it yesterday.
Right, we hoped it wouldn't, but...
Crews down from up north just in case.
Right. But here we are, and it is remarkable to note, and again, you know, we are just, we're in the thick of it right now, but we haven't heard any reports of any deaths as a result of these fires. I know that the firefighters are dealing with a lot right now. We are hearing of several notable injuries. One firefighter, we're told, suffered a severe head injury while working the fire last night. He's 25 years old. Officials got a Mayday call, which is about the worst call that you can get when it comes to a first responder. And then there was another civilian who was a man found stumbling down PCH in the Palisades, and his clothes were essentially burned off. He is in extremely critical condition, we're told, being intubated at the hospital with burns on the majority of his body, and as workers try to save his life. But in the meantime, let's get to this press conference right now that's happening. As we said, it's 8 o'clock. You're watching Good Day LA. Let's listen in.
Our first speaker is Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors Chair Catherine Barger.
Thank you. I'm going to make my comments short because I know you want to hear from our fire chief and the people that are really have the information in real time. But let me just say, this is a dynamic situation. We've got fires throughout the entire county, which are spreading our resources very short. One of the things that people ask me is, what do you want to convey to the public? And that is, heed the advice of first responders. When they ask you to evacuate, evacuate. This is not a drill. This is in real time. So I want to thank the city of Pasadena, who's opened up the Pasadena Convention Center for those impacted by the Eaton Canyon fire. I also want to acknowledge our faith-based partners. All Saints has opened up their church for those that are evacuating the Pasadena area. But again, it's important for us to recognize that while the firefighters are there to protect structures, life is first and foremost frontline. We need to make sure that people heed the advice of our first responders. With that, I'm going to introduce our LA County Fire Chief, Anthony Maroney, to give you an update on what is going on. But I just want to thank Chief Maroney as well as Chief Crowley for the work that they are doing to make sure that our first responders have all the resources necessary. Chief Maroney.
So good morning. Thank you, Supervisor Barger. My name is Anthony Maroney. I am the County of Los Angeles Fire Chief, and I'm also the Region 1 Coordinator for Fire and Rescue Resources. I'm going to be giving an update on the Palisades fire in addition to the Eaton Fire, although I am aware that we have 4 large fires burning in LA County at this time. The Palisades fire is located in both LA City and LA County. We are in unified command with the City of Los Angeles Fire Department in addition to CAL FIRE. We have well over 5,000 acres that have burned, and the fire is growing. We have no percentage of containment. We have an estimated 1,000 structures destroyed, and also no reported fatalities, and a high number of significant injuries to residents who did not evacuate, in addition to first responders who are on the fire line. We have over 1,000 personnel assigned, and the cause of the fire is unknown. However, it is under investigation. For the Eaton Fire, it is located in both the Angeles National Forest, the Altadena area of LA County, and Pasadena. LA County is in unified command with both the Angeles National Forest and the Pasadena Fire Department. We have over 2,000 acres burning at this time, and the fire continues to grow with 0% containment. We have over 500 personnel assigned, And unfortunately, we have 2 reported fatalities to civilians. Unknown cause at this time, and we do have a number of significant injuries. We have over 100 structures destroyed, and the cause of the fire is unknown and under investigation. I will ask that LA City Fire Chief Kristen Crowley update you on the Hearst fire after I am finished with my remarks. The LA County Fire Department operational area consists of 29 separate fire departments in LA County, and all of those fire departments are at drawdown with no fire apparatus or additional personnel to spare. As the Region 1 coordinator, I have requested mutual aid from the 5 counties of Orange, Los Angeles, Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties. Additionally, last night, I contacted the State Office of Emergency Services and requested 50 engine strike teams. 50 engine strike teams is composed of 250 fire engines and over 1,000 personnel. We have also requested resources from out of state, as well as Northern California. Thank you to the first responders from Nevada, Oregon, and Washington State that are already on the road coming to LA County to assist. Lastly, the National Weather Service has predicted a continued red flag weather event with strong winds and low humidities, placing all residents of Los Angeles County in danger. To all of our viewers, please prioritize your safety as well as the well-being of those around you as we come together to continue to get through this widespread disaster. Los Angeles County firefighters will remain on the front line until we reach full containment, and we ask that you keep all of Los Angeles County in your thoughts and prayers. I would now like to invite up Los Angeles City Fire Chief Kristen Crowley to give her briefing. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kristen Crowley, Los Angeles City Fire Department Fire Chief. I'd like to start with just a moment, if we could, of gratitude. A moment of gratitude for our first responders, our boots on the ground that are battling this intense and multiple jurisdiction and number of fires. So gratitude to those who are doing the work since yesterday through the night. And like Chief Maroney said, we're going to continue to work hard to ensure that we save people, lives, and property. With that, I'll be touching on a couple major points. With the Pacific Palisades fire, we know that it continues to demand a significant amount of resources and attention. A second major brush fire, now referred to as the Hearst fire, has erupted in the Sylmar area of Los Angeles. Now, together, these fires are stretching the capacity of emergency services to their maximum limits. The Los Angeles City Fire Department is battling these 2 major fires while also maintaining, I want to focus on this as well, 911 services for the city's approximate 4 million residents. Now, despite the severity of the conditions, our department remains fully committed to safeguarding lives and property. Next, I want to focus on what we've done over the last 24 hours. And with that, even within the city of Los Angeles, with these 2 major brush fires, our department has responded to 3,624 911 calls for service. And to put that in perspective, our average is just under 1,500 calls in a 24-hour period. Over the last 24 hours, we've also responded to an additional 32 structure fires within the city. We've treated and transported an extensive number of medical emergencies, well extending our normal 650 transports to the local hospitals. When it comes to the Pacific Palisades fire, as Chief Maroney had said, this is over 3,000 acres at this point and continues to grow. We will confirm the exact acreage later, so we'll make sure that we also communicate that to the community and to the media. Last night, as of 1930 hours, all aircrafts were grounded due to the high winds. Aircraft are continued to be able to resume their water drops and acreage mapping today when the weather allows us to do so. A total of 3,398 civilians and 15,105 structures are in the evacuation zone. And again, the evacuation zones are the following: north of PCH, west of Kenter Avenue and San Vicente Boulevard, south of Mulholland Drive, and east of Topanga Canyon Boulevard. There are multiple evacuation centers which are supported by the American Red Cross. Injuries. Of course, there's a lot of interest in injuries. We have several firefighters and civilian injuries that have been reported, and all patients have been treated and transported to local hospitals. Damage assessments. Chief Maroney did speak about a specific number. We are still vetting that through on the city side, so more information to come, and we will message that as soon as we can validate that. Approximately 400 LAFD firefighters have been deployed to the Palisades fire. We have many hundreds of law enforcement officers, our partner agency responders, and public works members engaged in supporting our overall operations. We are going to be transitioning to CAL FIRE this morning to manage this incident at 0800 hours. Next, I'd like to talk briefly about our Hearst fire, which is located in Sylmar. Last night at approximately 10:10 p.m., the fire erupted in the Sylmar area of Los Angeles, adjacent to the Los Angeles National Forest. The fire has rapidly expanded to over 500 acres, prompting the emergency evacuation of more than 3,000 residents. This fire is burning within the footprint of the historic Saddle Ridge fire. Now, despite the extreme winds and significant risks, and that's what we're going to be talking about from today and probably throughout the next few days, there's always that significant risk of life and property. We'll continue to focus on saving lives and protecting property. The exact anchorage at this point will be confirmed later, and we'll make sure that we communicate that to you as well. Lastly, we want to make sure that everybody understands we are absolutely not out of danger yet. With the strong winds that continue to push through the city and the county today, I would tell you, and we are all committed to our first responders, our firefighters will remain focused on protecting lives and property. The LAFD is extremely proud to stand with all of the entities behind me. Our top priority will continue to be life safety, ensuring that safe evacuation and the rescues of our residents that are in harm's way. It will continue to be our primary focus in this wind-driven fire event as it continues. Thank you for your cooperation, your support, and your vigilance. And today, we will continue to stand with our partners to protect everyone. Next up, I would like to introduce Sheriff Luna. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Next up. Oh, we moved it. Okay.
Yes, we're just moving around, having LA Unified Superintendent Alberto Carvalho, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chair Barger, county and city leadership, in addition to the leadership of our first responders and our great community for the very, very important work you continue to do to protect our community, protect the assets, and first and foremost, the health and well-being and lives of members of our community. Los Angeles Unified is the second largest school district in the nation, representing the interests of 540,000 students and 75,000 committed employees. We make decisions regarding closure of schools in a very methodical and science-driven manner. So after a great deal of consultation overnight with experts looking at the data and considering the fact that air quality conditions deteriorated significantly overnight, we have made the decision to shut down a number of schools, particularly in the eastern part of our school system. I will define what those boundaries are. School communities, beginning with leadership, workforce, and families, have been informed about these areas. And as of now, those schools within the boundaries of the area that I will define are closed. This accounts for about 10% of our total schools in our district, about 100 schools out of 1,000 schools. The areas that I'm speaking about are schools located north of Manchester Boulevard, Firestone Boulevard, east of 10th Avenue, west of I-710, and south of Highway 134. Any school within that area, and that accounts again for the eastern part of our district, where the air quality met or exceeded levels that are not appropriate for employees or students to be around, are effectively shut down. We will be making decisions about what will happen in those schools going into tomorrow by 4 p.m. today based on the evolution conditions. In fact, since we made the decision to shut down those schools, air quality conditions have improved significantly despite the fact that they worsened significantly overnight. I want to speak specifically about schools surrounding the Palisades area. As of last night, we had to shut down 5 schools as a result of mandatory evacuation conditions. Those were Kinter Canyon Elementary School, Canyon Elementary School, Marquez Elementary School, Palisades Charter Elementary School, Revere Middle School, and Topanga Elementary School, in addition to Palisades High Charter High School. We have reports that Palisades High sustained significant damage as a result of the fire. We are working with state and federal entities to quickly access resources to address the issues facing this community. I want to very briefly address our workforce. We know today is not going to be a perfect day. A number of schools are shut down. However, localized conditions may make it difficult for our workforce or parents and students to access schools. Air quality conditions may vary and, in fact, may not necessarily be appropriate beyond the area where we close schools. Please use your discretion. We will utilize grace and be flexible regarding attendance and for students and employees alike. Specifically, students and employees who face chronic respiratory conditions or other health issues. We will be flexible regarding these individuals. We will provide additional updates later on today regarding conditions of schools going into tomorrow. For the schools that are open, recognizing the workforce needs of the parents of our children, beyond the bell activities, care for children in those schools will continue to be provided today. Today is not a typical day. We need flexibility, patience, and grace, and we shall extend that to our workforce and certainly our parents and students in our community. Once again, our hearts go out to those who have been impacted, and our eternal gratitude to the first responders of our community for the fantastic, difficult work they've done over the past 24 hours. Thank you very much.
Morning. A lot of information to pass on, but please know this. This is a very difficult and challenging situation, but we're surrounded here by people who really care, and we're going to get through this together. That means with all of you as partners in our community. Our top priority continues to be the safety and well-being of our impacted residents, first responders, and all of the individuals involved. But understand that this is a very fluid situation, specifically in the Altadena area, and a lot of our personnel, our deputy personnel, are involved in life-saving measures as we speak now. We are working very closely with local, state, and federal agencies to provide necessary resources and support. We have been in constant communication with both our fire and law enforcement partners across LA County and beyond to ensure that all available resources that are needed are being deployed strategically and effectively, but we are prioritizing life over everything else. There are over several hundred Sheriff Department personnel working around the clock to evacuate residents in danger, assist with road closures, and respond to multiple missions that are given to us, and they do change periodically depending on that life mission. To ensure that everyone is going to be safe, or safe as possible. Additional personnel will likely be assigned to this fire as this continues to go, and you heard from our fire partners that there is no containment yet. I do want to split it up into two. I want to start talking about the Eaton Fire first. Currently, there are evacuation orders in Pasadena, Altadena, and Sierra Madre. Evacuation orders, there are approximately 32,500 residents under evacuation orders and approximately 13,186 structures that we deem at risk, and that could grow. Evacuation warnings, approximately 38,600 residents are under evacuation warnings and approximately 14,342 structures are at risk. At 4 a.m. this morning, the evacuation orders did expand to parts of the city of Duarte, Monrovia, and La Cañada. And again, we continue to assess that. That's evolving. That's going to change. So I encourage you to consistently pay attention to all sources of information so you're ready to go when you are given that order, if that does come. As information's changing, even as I was driving up here, even as I'm walking up to this podium, I'm getting messages about several of our employees who have lost their homes in the last several hours. I don't know how many, because we are still gathering that information, but like we all live here in Los Angeles County, so we are impacted. So we're going to make sure that within our department, we're wrapping our arms around our employees just like we do with community members. Again, as I was coming up here, I did find out that we did have 2 fatalities in this area. I don't have any specifics. There is a lot of damage out there. We're still in the process of doing these assessments, trying to still save lives. So this information is going to change. The Altadena Sheriff's Station itself was evacuated, and it was at least limited on fire. There was some fire at the Altadena station, but we did have to clear out all of our employees out of there. I'm hearing some miraculous stories, and they're just barely coming in, of our deputies who were trying to evacuate the Altadena station, and then residents were running up from different locations around there asking them for assistance in getting them out of their structures. And from what I understand, they were barely able to get people out before these structures started burning. There's just heroic stories of what our deputies are doing out there from last night and this morning. I want to make sure people know deputies are working to assist residents who are evacuating and continuing to make evacuation notices as we're speaking. They are securing areas that are evacuated, and it's always sad when I have to say this, but part of our responsibility is to make sure that no one loots or steals from our residents, our community members who are already being impacted. And I'm sad to report we made 2 arrests this morning for looting already. So if you are thinking about coming into any of these areas to steal from our residents, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to be caught, you're going to be arrested, and you're going to be prosecuted. Don't do that. Stay out of these areas. It's only for emergency workers and people who live there. We are, at this point, unable to clearly determine the extent of damage at this point because the conditions are rapidly evolving and the destruction needs to be assessed as the daylight hours have come forward. I do know that I've lost at least 1 sheriff's black and white to a fire. Thank God that the deputy is okay. But deputies continue to be on patrol throughout the road closure areas to ensure evacuation areas remain closed to the public. All schools in the Pasadena Unified School District are closed. There is a road closure at Altadena Drive from Allen to New York Drive. For those in need of shelter, please head to the Pasadena Convention Center, located at 300 East Green Street in the city of Pasadena, and we're working with them in Unified Command and in partnership as well. For animals, there are established shelters at Large Animal Shelter Rose Bowl Stadium at 1001 Rose Bowl Drive in Pasadena, Small Animal Shelter, Pasadena Humane Society at 361 South Raymond Avenue in Pasadena. I'm going to switch gears now. to the Palisades fire that we've been heavily involved in with our partners, again, with LAPD and LA City Fire and everyone else that's up there working. As of this morning, the fire was still burning in that area, and that's impacting our residents. Evacuations are in effect, continuously in effect for the city of Calabasas, the city of Malibu, Los Angeles City, Pacific Palisades, and unincorporated area of Los Angeles County and Topanga Canyon. Evacuation orders, there are approximately 37,000 residents under evacuation orders and approximately 15,000 structures at risk. Again, that's specifically for the Palisades fire. Evacuation warnings, approximately 20,000 residents are under evacuation warnings, and approximately 6,500 structures are at risk. There have been minor injuries, and our partners at the fire department have talked about those, and several, unfortunately, structures that have been lost, and we're still assessing those. Bear with me, I'm almost there. There's a lot of information, very important information. There are several road closures which can change rapidly. The 10 freeway at Lincoln Boulevard, southbound PCH at Las Flores Canyon, southbound PCH at Topanga Canyon, Coastline Drive at southbound PCH, westbound PCH to Entrada to eastbound closed from PCH and Malibu Canyon. We have established shelters up for that fire in the following locations: Westwood Recreation Center, which is at 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard in Los Angeles, Pasadena Convention Center, which I already mentioned, we can go there, 300 East Green Street in the city of Pasadena, and El Camino Real Charter High School, 5440 Valley Circle Boulevard in Woodland Hills. Animal shelters, large animals, LA Equestrian Center at 480 West Riverside in Burbank, large animal shelter Pierce College, 6201 Winnetka Avenue in Woodland Hills, large animal shelter Rose Bowl Stadium in Pasadena, small animal shelter Agora Animal Center, and small animal shelter Pasadena Humane Society as well. We got to take care of our pets. As I wrap up, a reminder, and you've heard it from several of us, you need to be prepared. If you are in a warning area, make sure you have your essentials, your important paperwork, your medications, things that you can take, your phone charger to survive for at least a week. But if you are told to evacuate and given an order, there is nothing worth your life. Please listen to the police and fire officials that are out there and be prepared to evacuate. If you have more questions or there's about evacuations, evacuation centers, or road closures, go to lacounty.gov/emergency or our Sheriff's Department social media. Now it's my honor to introduce my partner of the Chief of the Los Angeles Police Department, Jim McDonald.
Thank you very much. And as you look at the group assembled behind me this morning, each of those and everybody we represent who's out in the field all have families. Many are impacted directly by the fire, but they leave those families to come and try and be able to help everybody else who's out there. So I owe a debt of gratitude to everybody who is putting it all on the line for everyone else. This is a tragic time in our history here in Los Angeles, but a time where we're really tested and see who we really are. And it's critical that at these times we be patient, that we come together, that we focus on saving lives, and to be able to do the very best job we can. So when we look back on this, we know that we did what we could for others. I look at the people who were out there on the line last night. The winds were like something that I have never seen before. Firefighters, police officers, deputies, they're out there sheltering in their vehicles, their trucks and their cars, so that they don't end up getting burned from the fire that was being driven by 75+ mile-an-hour winds. They were there until they could get out of the car and go back to doing their work. As you can imagine, a very difficult circumstance to deal with. These are, as I mentioned, unprecedented conditions, but also unpredictable. As the fire continues to spread and pop up in different locations, none of us know where the next one is going to be. So I would ask you to be vigilant, to look at your neighborhood, to talk to your neighbors, to have everybody on board, so that if they see something start up,
that we get on it very quickly. We get fire resources out there as soon as we possibly can, because with these winds, once it starts small, it'll be very big very quickly. And so I would ask for everybody's help, cooperation, and vigilance in that role. As you've heard before about evacuation, that makes the difference between living and not. And so I would ask you to take these warnings, these orders to evacuate very seriously. As you've heard over and again, be ready to go, pack what you need up, but then please comply with these orders. Then we don't give them, put them out lightly. When we believe that you're in the path of the fire, we're going to order that evacuation, and we really, really need your compliance on that, because if we have to send people in to try and make rescues, those people are putting their lives on the line directly for something that could have been avoidable. Sheriff Luna mentioned looting. That's something that we also have to watch out for. That is incredible that we'd even have to talk about that during these tragic times. But we are going to take that also extremely seriously, and we will follow up with that in the strongest way possible. As far as traffic goes, that's something that we're used to dealing with here. This will be an extra test of gridlock in many places due to people not having access to their normal routes. I would say that if you have an ability to be able to stay out of the west side today, to commute or to work from home, as long as your employers are good with that, to take advantage of that. The air is very tough today for particularly those who are challenged medically. If you can stay home and work from there, I would recommend that. We will continue to support our partners and the fire service and our other law enforcement partners. But to all and the public who are watching this, sincere thank you to all of you for your cooperation and your patience as we all get through this together. Thank you.
Now we're going to introduce my colleague, Supervisor Lindsay Horvath, who represents the Palisades area. Lindsay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This morning, we woke up to a dark cloud over all of Los Angeles, but it is darkest for those who are most intimately impacted by these fires. It has been an immensely painful 24 hours for communities I represent. The Palisades, the Hearst, and Woodley fires are all in the 3rd District.
But our strength is in our togetherness, and that will determine how we make it through. We need your partnership in this time of crisis. It is difficult to process the immensity of the destruction and loss, and we extend our hearts and every resource we have to all of our impacted residents. We know when we talk about these structures, they aren't just structures. They aren't even just houses. They're homes. This is our home. These are places where we built community, where we raised families, where we made memories that we will never forget, even if we can't go back to these structures. These are our home. Losing home is simply devastating. And I know that we are all here to support you and stand with you in this time of need. Aggressive winds and fire know no jurisdictional boundaries, nor does coordination and action across our LA County agencies with President Biden and Governor Newsom as they unlock support through fire assistance management grants for Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst fires so far. The talent and tenacity of our first responders is nothing short of extraordinary. And I've said it before, these people on the front lines are doing this because this is their calling. This is not simply a job that they came to have an occupation. They are called to this work to keep us safe, to keep our community safe, and to do all they can in this time of crisis to protect our Los Angeles County. Overnight winds grounded our vehicles, and we have red flag conditions through the end of day tomorrow. But we know that because of these fearless warriors on the front lines, we are doing all that we can to contain this fire. Thank you for your work to keep Los Angeles County safe, including the 3rd District communities of Pacific Palisades, Topanga Canyon, Sunset Mesa, Malibu, Santa Monica, Sylmar, Granada Hills, Lake Balboa, and surrounding communities. Our #1 message to everyone in impacted areas is to follow all evacuation orders and warnings and to stay where you are safe as long as the evacuations remain in place. We continue to have shelter capacity for you, as you have heard, for you, for your pets, and we have animal sheltering sites as well. These orders are not just to keep you safe and to keep your community safe, they are also to keep those on the front lines of this devastating crisis safe. And the longer that you wait to evacuate, the more you are putting people in danger who are putting their lives on the line to protect your homes. Please don't do this. Please evacuate. There is also an evacuation order in Santa Monica, the northern border of the city to San Vicente. The warning is north of Montana to San Vicente as well. We have an evacuation order as well as a warning there. Barry J. Nydorf Juvenile Hall is in Sylmar, and that is under evacuation warning because of the Hearst fire. Our probation department has evacuation plans in place should that move to an evacuation order from a warning, and our priority is to keep our youth in our care safe. Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District has closed its schools today, and as you heard from Superintendent Carvalho, LAUSD has a variety of updates. We have heard from our state insurance commissioner as well, and while this is still quite early in this emergency, we do have some initial guidance from his office for evacuated households on reimbursable insurance expenses, with information to be found at insurance.ca.gov. Obtain a complete copy of your insurance policy, take note of additional living expense limits, track additional expenses, document conversations with your insurer or adjuster, and don't rush any decisions. If you have any questions, call 800-927-4357. Please continue to check emergency.lacounty.gov for the latest information. And I know we will see brighter skies by working together. Los Angeles County will continue to be unrelenting in our response. And I know we have only the finest on the front lines fighting this fire. It's our duty to see them succeed. Thank you.
All right, now we are going to hear from LA City Council President and Mayor Pro Tem Marquise Harris Johnson.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I just want to begin by thanking and recognizing and acknowledging the great work of our first responders, especially the men and women of the Los Angeles Fire Department, who last night we all witnessed doing heroic work in the face of grave danger. Last night was one of the most devastating and terrifying nights that we've seen in any part of our city at any part of our history. Fire literally jumping roads, taking out structures, and our public safety professionals created an environment where injuries were kept to a minimum, fatalities were kept to a minimum, and we wake up this morning with a renewed spirit that we can defeat this fire and move on to a brighter day. I want to also acknowledge the two members of the council that are with us today that represent the areas of the fire. Councilwoman Tracy Park of the 11th District, who's I think probably has about 90 minutes sleep by my count, because every time I looked on the television, you were there knocking on doors in neighborhoods, in community centers, at the shelters, making sure the community was okay. And then an absolute professional, someone who, since I've been on the council with her, has had to fight a fire almost every year. And so is a pro from the San Fernando Valley, the council member from the 7th District, Monica Rodriguez. And again, all the men and women, the firefighters are in the front, but our DWP workers are out there making sure we don't have additional fires from power lines, and countless folks, DOT, making sure the flow of traffic stays so that folks who want to evacuate can do so, are out there as well. So there's literally thousands and thousands of people working together to make this work. I want to announce a few more closures to add to the school closures that we heard and the closures that the sheriff and the supervisor read to us. Griffith Park closed today, including Lake Hollywood. Runyon Canyon closed today. The Los Angeles Zoo closed today. The Hollywood Reservoir closed today. The Hollywood Sign closed today, as well as all the roads through the Sepulveda Basin in the San Fernando Valley. So nobody should be going those places today anyway. I will amend what Chief McDonald said. Not only if you're on the west side or in the valley, anywhere in this city, if you can stay off the roads, please do so. I live in South LA, a long way away from the fires. Visibility is less than 1 block because of the smoke. So if there is not a good reason for you to be on the roads, we ask that you leave the roads open as possibly as you can to the public safety professionals that have to do their work and will lead us out of the crisis that we face here in the city of Los Angeles and the county of Los Angeles today. Also, lastly, just grateful for the work of the President of the United States, kicked in for us late last night, who happens to be in Southern California. The governor was with us in the Pacific Palisades last night and has helped out. And a range of municipalities around the county and outside the county have come in to help where they can, and we're extremely, extremely grateful for their help in this time of crisis for our city and our county. And with that, I will ask the Director of the Office of Emergency Management for Los Angeles County, Kevin McGowan, to come to the mic.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm Kevin McGowan. I'm the Director with the LA County's Office of Emergency Management. As my partners up here have said before, we're facing a historic natural disaster, and I think that can't be stated strong enough. This is not a normal red flag. We've been in partnership with the National Weather Service for days prior to the arrival of this severe windstorm. There's been amazing communication by the National Weather Service, and they should be acknowledged for all of the communication that was put out days in advance. What's critical about that is it partnered all of our public safety and emergency organizations throughout the county to begin preparations for this. And a lot of the successes we saw over the last 18 to 20 hours is a direct result of painstaking preparations that had gone into place for the last 48 to 72 hours. We still have a long road ahead of us. Our county is known with wildland fires. We just finished working on the Franklin fire. We've had the Bridge fire, the Post fire. This has been a very destructive fire season. This is just going to add to it. Our eyes are on mitigating the impacts from this emergency, working with our community partners, and then charting a course for what will be a long recovery effort. With that, I would like to introduce our Department of Public Works for LA County Director, Mark Pistrella.
Good morning. Thank you, Kevin. My name is Mark Pistrella. I'm the Director of Public Works for Los Angeles County, the largest public works department in the United States. We're coordinating across the area with all our partner agencies, including, of course, primarily the City of Los Angeles, in addressing this event today. I'm going to talk a little bit about what our focus is in terms of infrastructure, and then I'll move on. Before I do that, though, I do want to acknowledge all of the residents that have either lost a home or who are being evacuated. I do personally understand what that is about and understand what kind of fear that can put into you. One thing I would recommend to you before you leave that home, if you want something to do, is to close that home up tight, close any openings, completely tight to the home, and make sure that access is open to the fire department in the event that they want to come on and do work on your property. That's one thing I've learned through the years is important. So right now, LA County Public Works is focused on water supply, the road safety and transportation system, and preparing our flood control system for the inevitable post-event, which may be flows of debris and mud. With respect to water resources, there's been quite a bit of talk in the media about the water system that we're using for suppression. So let me make the following statement. There have been quite a bit of comments over social media about the local water supply and its impact on firefighting efforts. There is collaboration across this region. Over 200 water retailers serve the region. LA County serves the area that in the Eaton Fire area. LA City serves the area, the Palisades area. We also serve the Palisades area in the north area of unincorporated area water supply through the hydrant system. The municipal water systems that service our homes and businesses continue to work effectively. However, they are not designed to fight wildfires. A firefight with multiple fire hydrants drawing water from the system for several hours is unsustainable. This is a known fact. That's why air support is so critical to the firefight. And unfortunately, wind and air visibility have prevented that support. County water reservoir, however, county and city water reservoirs, open reservoirs, are available and on standby once that support becomes available. We will be having fixed wing as well as helicopter draw of water from our system. We also need customers to understand that it is really quite futile to attempt to fight fire with your hose at your house. That's not something I would recommend you do, but in fact I would ask that you turn off your water and turn off your gas, both things, before you leave the residence so that we can continue to have that water supply for the hydrant system. The transportation system is operating with many, many closures. Those closures are meant for evacuation as well as fire suppression efforts. So we're asking residents not to abandon vehicles in streets, to not park vehicles in streets, but to leave those vehicles on your property. And we ask that you drive very carefully because we also have the other event of wind right now. And we have numerous signals out across the area. So we need people to drive very consciously in the street system. And then the third piece in the road system and in our homes is the wind is causing massive tree fall. We have numerous, over hundreds and hundreds of trees that have fallen in the area already, and we expect more of that to occur. This is a safety hazard for you and your children, so we're asking that you avoid walking outside, avoid being under trees, avoid parking cars under trees, all the things that you can imagine that a tree can do. A tree can be just as devastating to a home and to your personal self as a fire. So please be aware that the wind event is going to continue and the infrastructure is in place to do with that. We are currently preparing to remove that. We are removing trees as they fall where it's safe to do so. There will be a mass debris removal system put together that the county is coordinating, but we would be removing and working with the cities to remove the mass debris that's going to occur not only from the structures that have been damaged, but all of these trees that are down. So please, one of the things is make way for our utility workers who are in support of the very brave firemen and sheriff and police force that are out doing their job. We are in full support of them. So lastly, on the flood control system, this is just a quick note that yes, in fact, we will have a lot of debris. The flood control system has been impacted. That covers the entire region by the fire. In fact, many of our facilities have been burned. One in Eaton area, Eaton Yard, where there is a debris dam there, and its facilities are currently threatened. We're looking at that and want to raise up those systems. As we enter into post-fire, our department will be available to do a review of your individual properties to make sure that you're safe from debris flow as another event that may occur in LA County. With that, I'm happy to turn over the microphone to my partner from the Department of Water and Power, the General Manager, Janice Quinones.
Thank you, Mark. I am Janice Quinones, CEO and Chief Engineer for LADWP. I want to start by thanking everybody on this response. I've been in emergency management my whole career, and the collaboration I've seen in this response has been incredible, especially our first responders, our crews. I want to thank our crews that have been working on high winds trying to restore power as fast as possible. And also county, city council, mayor's office. The mayor has been in contact with me all the time. And also other utilities in California have been proactively reaching out to us to help us with the restoration. So we're in the process of contacting them to ask for more support. I want to continue the thought process that Mark had about water supply in Palisades. We had a tremendous demand on our system in the Palisades. We pushed the system to the extreme. 4 times the normal demand was seen for 15 hours straight, which lowered our water pressure. We were pushing 75 CFS on our trunk line to try to keep water pressures in the system. If there's a message you take away from me today, is I need our customers to really conserve water, not just in the Palisades area, but the whole system, because the fire department needs the water to fight the fires, and we're fighting a wildfire with urban water systems, and that is really challenging. What happened in Palisades? We have 3 large water tanks, about 1 million gallons each. We ran out of water in the first tank at about 4:45 p.m. yesterday. We ran out of water in the second tank about 8:30 p.m. and the third tank about 3 a.m. this morning. Those tanks help with the pressure on the fire hydrants and the hills of Palisades. And because we were pushing so much water in our trunk line, and so much water was being used before it can get to the tanks, we were not able to fill the tanks fast enough. So the consumption of water was faster than we can provide water in our trunk line. So I want to make sure that you understand there's water on the trunk line. It just cannot get up the hill because we cannot fill the tanks fast enough. And we cannot lower the amount of water that we provide to the fire department in order to supply the tanks because we're balancing firefighting with water. So we have our operations people on the water side at the command post with the fire department, helping them with tactics to ensure that we can provide as much water as we can find to our first responders. What are we doing now? We're sending about 20 water tanks for our construction crews full of water to support the fire department. We identify other areas in our system where our tankers can refill. It takes about 30 minutes to refill about 4,000 gallons of water, and we're constantly moving that water to the fire department to get them as much water as we can. I would also ask for the people on zip code 90272, because we're pushing the water system so hard, our water quality is decreasing. So we're going to be issuing a boil water notice this morning, and that will extend for about 48 hours. The water quality is low. We have a lot of ash in the system. And so please, if you're going to be drinking water, you need to boil the water. Those boiled waters will continue to increase as the system starts restoring. We're also managing a power outage restoration. Our water emergency has been the #1 primary issue, but the power issues are continue to increase. The winds picked up at around 11 p.m. last night, and that's when we saw the majority of our outages coming in. As of 7 a.m. today, we have 135,000 customers out of power. We have restored about 78,000 customers since the start of the outage. 32 customers have been out of power for more than 10 hours and 7 for over 18 hours. If you are out of power, I urge you to call us, call 911, let us know so that we can get to you as fast as safely as possible. We are on a severe emergency activation at the EOC for both water and power. It's taking us 24 to 48 hours to get to all of the outage. That's why we're going to start increasing our mutual aid request to get more crews on here to reduce that restoration time. But we cannot do that until it's safe for our crews. And I'm happy to report we have had no safety incidents for either the water and the power crews, which we need all the crews safely operating in our system. 40% of our outages were due to us having to de-energize the circuits for public safety. And we cannot energize them until it's safe to do so, and we have put eyes on our system. 20% is because of wire downs, and 6.5% is because our system has protected itself from further outages, and so we have to patrol every line before we come back online. With that, I just want to thank everybody, and Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. We want to transition. We're 5 minutes over. We do want to give a little bit of time for question and answer with the press. I'm going to call on you. Please identify yourself, your name, and which media outlet you're with. I see a hand up here. We'll go with you first.
I wanted to ask because this press conference called One Voice is bringing together some of our city leaders, our county leaders here together for this incredible tragedy, this crisis that we're experiencing right now. And a lot of our viewers are asking, how can other Angelenos help? Because people want to volunteer, people want to help. What's the best way that other folks out there that want to help, what can they do?
Well, first of all, thank you for that question, because I think this does speak volumes to the fact that it's not just at the local level, it's at the state and the federal level as well, and it is one voice. We're seeing these fires taking place countywide, which is stretching our resources. But to the public, I mentioned All Saints in Pasadena that's opened up its church to people that are evacuating, people that are not only part of their parish, but also people that are seeking refuge. I would encourage, and we will work with our Office of Emergency Management, to put together a list of what you can do to help. I know at Pasadena Convention Center, they're looking for resources, food, and blankets. Red Cross is putting that together, but we can always use more. So this is the time for us all to come together. I mean, we're trying to wrap our heads around just getting this fire under control. But make no mistake, we will put something together so that people can offer their support. You are seeing the goodness, and I know Supervisor Horvath mentioned it. With all these horrific stories you hear, you also hear stories of people that are doing amazing things to help their neighbors and their community.
Thank you for that. I'll go ahead in the green shirt.
Yeah, the DWP was talking about the problems with the water supply, and I was wondering if either the DWP or the fire department has any kind of numbers to talk about, like what is the number of hydrants that could not get water because of these pressure issues, what percentage of the system in Pacific Palisades wasn't getting serviced at that point, and given the type of things you're describing this morning, do you think there needs to be an overhaul of the system, given these increasing number of urban fires? And also, when does the mayor return?
And name and media outlet, please.
David Zahniser with the Los Angeles Times.
Thank you.
So, Chief, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we were trying to keep water at all altitudes on the Palisades, and I think about 3 in the morning, that's when the hydrants went dry above the Brentwood area. We are able to push water on that trunk line on the east side of that, and we have some water on higher elevations, 16 to 18,000. But at 3,000, at 3 a.m., all of the fire hydrants went dry in the Palisades. To your question of climate resiliency and how do we need to update the system, I would say that that is true. We were talking with the county supervisor and Mark on how are we going to change the way we operate our water systems for events like this. This is an unprecedented event. I think the 2011 winds was significant from a power outage perspective, but the fires have really increased the response complexity of this. We had crews trying to mitigate this, and we had to evacuate. We worked with fire department to try to get back in and try to fill the tanks again. It was unsafe to do so. So you're managing the fires, you're managing the power outage, and you're managing the water needs because it was an urban wildfire firefighting. So yes, we have to look at our system from a climate resiliency as a region, and it's going to be more than just DWP. It's all the water agencies here, including the county.
Thank you. Over here in the burgundy with a mask. Name and media outlet, please.
Real quick, I can speak on the operational side of the hydrants. We don't have a specific number to the hydrants. We do know that it came in phases. Now, our firefighters always have a primary plan, a backup plan, contingency, and emergency plan. So oftentimes, just so that the public is aware, in large brush fires, water supplies are normally limited. So with that, our apparatus do have that ability to draft water if we need to out of pools, ponds, any type of water resource. We also utilize the water tenders, in which we spoke about a little bit earlier. So with that, I just wanted to clarify that. In regard to when the mayor is returning, I spoke to her this morning at 4 o'clock. She's on her way for the last leg of her journey back home from Dallas, so her ETA is right around noon.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Buenos dias, everybody. Ali Santana with Telemundo 52. For Chief Crowley, Chief Maroney, where can people go to donate food, water, supplies? And for Superintendente Carvalho, Sheriff Luna, and CEO Quiñones, just something in Espanol for our people in...
We will do something in Spanish right after we conclude over here with a couple of Spanish speakers. Regarding the volunteer information.
Sure. So thank you for the question about the donations, and I always spoke about that earlier. Just a touch point for the community. We are so grateful for the community's efforts in regard to donations. Now, what I do want to be mindful about to make sure that we share is please listen to the direction of where those donations, either through money and or food, any type of donation, it can become problematic if the public starts to just drop things off. So we are putting together a strong plan from our Emergency Operations Center. We're at the highest level at this point. We're coordinating with the county as well. So stand by for more information. We want to be very purposeful and strategic in how we're going to collect those donations, and they are welcomed.
Right over here with the glasses and the gray, right behind you. Over here with the hand up.
Thank you, sir. Scott Snowden, Santa Monica Daily Press. Question for Ms. Horvath. Are there any forecasts or predictions at this point for the economic impact of this?
There are no early numbers of the economic impact, but we are already exploring how we can do, for example, a business interruption fund, as we have done in other states of emergency. We know that there are many businesses that have also been impacted, in addition to the people who are experiencing difficulty in their homes. So we are looking at what resources the county has available to support on all fronts. But thank you for the question.
Lastly, do you think this will affect insurance companies in their approach to house owners going forward?
I believe it already has, and the conversation is ongoing. As I shared earlier from the insurance commissioner, I know this is an ongoing conversation in his office, and he has provided that information and welcoming phone calls from folks who do have questions about insurance impacts as a result of these fires. I do know that yesterday, through the help of our chair, the county declared a state of emergency, as did the governor, and I know that there are other states of emergency that will be declared in order to make sure that all residents are able to readily access everything that they need to in response to these claims.
Thank you. We need to move on. Right here in the front, young woman with the hand up.
Hi, Grace Toohey with the Los Angeles Times. I was hoping one of the fire chiefs could talk a little bit about long-range spotting and how far we actually saw embers jumping from one fire to other spot fires. And then additionally, we heard repeatedly fire crews requesting help, backup, and not having enough crews. Were you guys prepared enough for this? Did we have enough resources to fight these fires? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So I'll start at the end and work back. No, LA County and all 29 fire departments in our county are not prepared for this type of widespread disaster. There are not enough firefighters in LA County to address 4 separate fires of this magnitude. We were prepared. We did get state pre-position resources that came from Northern California that were up in the Santa Clarita Valley. We did hire additional firefighters from the LA County Fire Department and pre-position them in the Santa Monica Mountains. The LA County Fire Department was prepared for 1 or 2 major brush fires, but not 4, especially given these sustained winds and low humidities. Like our Director of Emergency Management said, this is not a normal red flag alert. People were calling for help. We tried to get them the help that they needed. LA County right now, like the LA City Fire Department, is prioritizing life safety, but we're also engaging in structure defense, perimeter control, and aerial operations. Remember that the LA County Fire Department has 13 aerial assets available to it. In addition to our agency-owned helicopters, we have our 2 CL-415 Super Scoopers and our CH-47, which is part of the 3-county QRF. So we're prepared to keep fighting the fight. Like I said earlier, I've requested additional resources, not only from Northern California, but from out of state. We did that last night, yesterday. So we're doing the very best we can. But no, we don't have enough fire personnel in LA County between all of the departments to handle this. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a couple of just quick questions.
I just want to also acknowledge that that came down from Sacramento State Senator Ben Allen and Sasha Perez, as well as our Santa Monica Mayor Negrete, who's also present here. And I know that Congressman George Whiteside is flying in from Washington, D.C. He represents the Sylmar Santa Clarita area. And so we appreciate you all being here.
Thank you,
and
Chair
I think
Barker.
someone from the mayor's office would like to Go ahead.
Thank you,
Introduce
Supervisor.
yourself.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Celine Cordero, Deputy Chief of Staff to Mayor Bass. I just wanted to step forward and address the question about the mayor. The mayor will be on the ground shortly, very shortly this morning, and engaged. But I want to assure the community and the city, our mayor has been actively engaged 100% of the time, the entire last 24 hours. Throughout this unfortunate event and crisis. The mayor has been in constant communication with our chief of police, our fire chief, our council president, our law enforcement partners, our Supervisor Barger, thank you, and our county partners. So I just want to stress she has had 100% access the entire time that she's been traveling and been actively involved in the decision making. So thank you very much to all up here, and the mayor looks forward to meeting you very shortly this morning.
Thank you for that. Over here in the green shirt.
Good morning. Stephen Coleman, KABC. You mentioned 4 fires. I'm aware of 3. Could you describe and characterize the 4th fire? County fire?
Yes, I can speak briefly on that 4th fire was a Woodley fire, which is approximately, it was a smaller fire. We threw a lot of resources at it. It is under control at this point. We'll push that information out to the media so you have the very specifics, but we're calling it the Woodley fire. Yeah, it was in the Sepulveda Basin. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Last question, then we'll have one-on-ones.
Hi, Samantha Norris, San Fernando Valley Sun. I know the Hearst Fire is one of the smaller fires here, but can somebody speak more to what resources are being deployed to that fire? And for people in the Sylmar area, what are the evacuation zone areas, any closures, and where those people can go in the area?
Hi, good morning. Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez from the 7th District. Last night we evacuated 71 horses from the Stetson Ranch area. The fire came up quickly, and so thankfully they were safely evacuated to the Hanson Dam Equestrian Center. As we indicated, this is a very dynamic situation, and the lack of aerial support is making it that much more challenging for firefighters to be able to fight these fires, whether it's in the Palisades or any other part of the county. And so it's critically important that people heed the evacuation orders. In the Sylmar community, Richie Valens Rec Center in Pacoima is available for the evacuations. Currently, there is 80% vacancies, so there's still capacity for people to evacuate there. Going beyond that, we will continue to open up additional facilities as it's needed. I want to ensure the public that the things that you can do, and I know the question was asked earlier, if you're not in the immediate fire area, there are things that you can do to be of assistance, and it goes to looking at hardening your home from any potential threat of embers. These embers fly. They can go for a couple miles. So we want to ensure that they do everything to create the defensible space in their homes if they're in the adjacent areas. Again, staying off the roads to the greatest degree possible. More importantly, reducing your water usage at this time because there is no aerial support. All of our water is being heavily demanded upon for these firefights in all parts of the county. So these are the proactive measures that people can be taking to be of assistance immediately given the needs of our first responders. If you have downed power lines, report those to 911. We can also report all outages to 1-800-DIAL-DWP. And most importantly, for trees that are down, because we know we have a lot of road blockages, our Bureau of Street Services, for the City of Los Angeles, all of our street services crew and public works crews are out there doing that work as well, and they are part of our first responders. We want to make sure that everyone's reporting those to 311 so that we can keep the roads cleared for everyone to have the greatest amount of access for our fire personnel. But most importantly, for the adjacent equine areas, because I know in the Hearst fire, we're concerned about the spread right now. There's a lull in the wind, but we're concerned about the potential spread to other equine areas. We want to make sure that we launched our early evacuation for horse keeping areas in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, and I want to continue to urge the public in these adjacent areas to please be prepared with your bags, with your important documents, to be ready to be prepared to potentially heed the call for evacuation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're over time. We're going to...
Just one clarity as well, so you have some of the statistics. It started at 1010 last night. The latest acreage we have is 500 acres. We're working closely with our partners, which are the Los Angeles National Forest. We have a rep over here behind us, so we can do some one-on-ones if you want more specific, but we are unified with them. Also, the good news is, through the heroic efforts of our crews working through the night last night, our overall objective was to keep that fire so it did not overpass the 5, did not cross the 5 at this point. We're able to hold it to that point. But again, the winds are back up. We're working really, really hard there to make sure we maintain that. And we're going to continue to work really, really hard with our partners.
Thanks, Chief. Yeah, I don't have too much more to add, but I will share that the Los Angeles City Fire and the Angeles National Forest went into unified command immediately when that fire started. And that fire started in an area we're well exercised, known as the Mutual Threat Zone. So that's a part of our pre-planned unified command area, and that includes ground resources and aircraft. And of course, as mentioned, aircraft has been having a hard time finding good air, and actually with the wind speeds. We're assessing aircraft availability every minute, continuously watching for a window to get aircraft up from multiple parks and multiple agencies. The Angeles National Forest aircraft and the air tanker base that services the Southern California areas in Lancaster under the U.S. Forest Service, and they're watching for opportunities to launch aircraft. But last night, the winds out in the Antelope Valley were just as bad as they were here in what we call the Front Range. So we're still struggling to get aircraft in the air.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Robert Garcia, Fire Chief for the Angeles National Forest.
Thank you. We are wrapping up our press conference. We will have one-on-ones and a short for Spanish media. If you gather right over here, we will have Sheriff Luna and also LA City PIO with Fire David Ortiz. So Spanish interviews right over here.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to 9 o'clock here. I'm Roxy Carpadian. We are continuing our fire coverage. We've been on for hours watching the devastation and the destruction that has taken over so many of these communities.
And I'm Sandra Endo. Thanks for joining us on our continuous coverage right here. These are the latest information, details that we have on these fires that have been raging throughout Southern California. At least 2 people have been killed and hundreds of homes burned at this point. Thousands more are threatened. The fires are burning out of control in Pacific Palisades, Sylmar, and near Altadena at this point. Dozens of schools are closed this morning as well. And for now, crews continue their best to save lives and property. And we're seeing a live picture of the wind conditions that aren't letting up, right, Maria?
Sadly, not letting up. I just got some bad news that my brother-in-law, sister-in-law's house was indeed consumed by the fire, so that whole neighborhood is just gone. There was one house that's standing on their streets. I just feel so sad, all the memories. I know it's just stuff, you know, it's all perspective. And they're safe, they're fine, they evacuated, but it's just so sad. I feel so bad for all the families that have been affected by these fires, not just in the Palisades area, but of course out towards the Eaton Fire, the Hearst Fire. And unfortunately, these winds are going to continue. So even if your home is standing, even if you are not near those fires directly, these winds are going to continue to blow. So the danger is still with us. These winds still clocking in at 20, 30 miles per hour. The wind gusts are much stronger. We're still expecting these wind gusts to be near 60 to even 80 miles an hour. Beverly Hills nearing 30 miles an hour. A little quieter out towards the South Bay, but out in Orange County, very strong winds, the usual wind-prone areas below those Santa Ana Mountains, out towards the Inland Empire, San Bernardino, very strong gusty winds, and they were very strong last night and early this morning. These are some of the peak wind gusts. I just updated this graphic here. Fremont Canyon, 94 miles per hour. These are hurricane force wind gusts. You could imagine how much of these embers, we talk about spot fires and how these winds will carry some of these embers. And there was just a spray. It was like raining embers and just going everywhere and burning these homes and whole neighborhoods. Arrowhead Springs, 92 miles an hour there. Magic Mountain Truck Trail, this is up in the San Gabriel Mountains, 90 mile per hour wind gusts. Rancho Cucamonga, 83. The Eaton Canyon area got a wind gust gusts near 70 miles an hour. And as I mentioned, it will continue. These red flag warnings and the high fire danger, this particularly dangerous situation. Look at how widespread this is all across SoCal, from Ventura County all the way south into Orange County, the Inland Empire. That means very dry conditions, very strong gusty winds. A small spark, an ember, can set another fire, and it can explode and grow rapidly. Explosive fire growth potential, and that's what we saw with all these fires yesterday. Wind advisories and wind warnings will continue. Now, here's some good news. 6 p.m., that's the time frame that we're looking at when winds should start to really back down, and we're expecting the wind warning to be dropped or at least be downgraded. We've got a couple of systems in place. The dynamics and the recipe was there for this very unusual weather condition. We had some cold air that dropped down from Canada. This was brought in by this area of low pressure, which, by the way, brought us some rain yesterday, just not across where these fires are burning. It brought some rain up through parts of the high desert and snow up in the mountains, but that low pressure and this high pressure behind it, very tight pressure gradient, which drove those winds very strong, upper levels of the atmosphere, the mid, the low at the surface. So we just had it all yesterday and last night. That low is going to continue to move east, so the gradients will relax by this afternoon. We're going to start to feel and notice those winds start to relax, and then tomorrow really more noticeable difference. But I'll show you on our computer model here. These are the winds as of this hour. These are the gusts, okay? So still very strong. Watch as we fast forward to this afternoon, much weaker. Okay, 7 p.m., you can see it's probably going to be below advisory criteria, at least in this part here of SoCal. But notice the winds are still fairly strong across parts of the foothill communities of Pasadena, out towards Fontana and Orange County. So the fire danger is still going to be with us. The winds much weaker as we get to Thursday, Friday, and then perhaps on the weekend. Here's a little burst of wind here. So the offshore flow is still with us in that danger. But perhaps by Friday into Saturday, we'll start to get more of an onshore flow, and this will bring a little bit more moisture into the atmosphere. But until then, the impacts will continue. Down trees, power lines, power outages, the fires, relative humidity values still lowering even to single digits as we get to the afternoon. Travel will be impacted heavily, as you can imagine. The water year, we typically get much more rain. We have not had any rain at all for the month of January. December, only 2/100th of an inch of rain. November, very little. So we have been below average, and our deficit is growing, and our drought conditions are growing too. Remember, last year we had above normal rainfall totals, and the year before. So we had all this growth from all the rain that we've had, and this is just serving as fuel for these fires, all that dry vegetation. We got to hang in there, guys, today and tomorrow, and then things will get a lot easier and better as we get to the weekend. Let's check in on the traffic and all the road closures out there. We've got Samara with a look at all that. Hey, Samara.
Yeah, good morning, Marie. Good morning, everyone. And we really appreciate all our viewers joining us at this hour. And if you've been sticking with us, certainly do appreciate you. We also have, again, all eyes on the Pacific Palisades fire, and wanted to bring your attention to the current closures there. The Palisades fire, again, affecting PCH in both directions. And this extends from the McClure Tunnel in Santa Monica all the way out to Malibu at Las Flores Canyon Road. Avoid the area as firefighters continue to, again, try to contain that very active fire. And over to Topanga Canyon from Mulholland all the way down to PCH, also shut down to red flag conditions. Now we're going to take you over to the Hearst fire. Closures there, westbound side of the 210 from Yarnell Street to Roxford Street. A hard closure in place. You cannot get through that area, as well as northbound side, as well as southbound side of the 5. The connector road to the 210, there's a little hint of an update, some good news. You can make your way through, but the truck lanes remain closed until further notice as well. And there's that fire, the Woodley fire, the latest one along the 405 through the Sepulveda Basin continues to be a concern. Right now, at least the freeways, the 405 and the 101, currently not being impacted, but I would suspect the potential for some spectator slowing, as we saw earlier. Those conditions have improved, but just a reminder to keep your eyes on the road. There's a lot of debris just about anywhere across Southern California, courtesy of those really strong offshore winds. And if you're traveling, if you're planning on traveling through some of our canyons and passes, this does apply to the Grapevine up and down the 5 corridor. Still very gusty winds. The 14 freeway as well through the Newhall Pass. Areas along the 210 stretching all the way towards the 15 freeway. Downwind through the Cajon Pass, also experiencing some very strong gusts all the way out to the IE. If you're planning on heading on the 10 freeway to the Coachella Valley, also being impacted by those incredibly strong, powerful Santa Ana winds. So just about anywhere, perhaps you avoid traveling, rearrange your travel plans. And I just want to show you this Caltrans camera look. This is through Mid-City, 10 as well as eastbound side of the 10 freeway, west and eastbound side of the 10 at Crenshaw Boulevard. Traffic moving along fine, but also wanted to point out, look how windy it is through Mid-City. The trees are still blowing, and in the distance, you can see that thick haze reducing visibility as you head closer to the fire zone. A reminder, stay away from the fire areas as our firefighters work tirelessly to keep the community safe. Back to you, too.
And speaking of traveling, I know a lot of people are going different areas, right, because maybe evacuations, but keep in mind you can get all the information you need right here on Fox 11 by downloading the free Fox local app. So wherever you're going to stay safe, please make sure you have that resource. It is available for free. You just download it, the Fox local app. You could get all this information. All right, the fast-moving Palisades fire, of course, we've been talking about this. It's scorched already 5,000 acres.
It's also put 30,000 people under mandatory evacuation orders. So we're going to Gigi right now. She is live at Gladstone's on PCH. Is that where you are right now, Gigi?
That's right. We're at PCH in Sunset, the very well-known restaurant, popular restaurant, has been here for decades, Gladstone's. We got word that the restaurant had been damaged. The bulk of the restaurant appears to be undamaged, but there is a fire burning. This appears to have been part of a tractor trailer once, but it looks like it's here permanently now. Most likely this metal trailer used for storage. It is on fire. It's destroyed on the inside, and the fire has spread to the garbage can area of the restaurant. The other part of the restaurant, though, does not appear to be affected, and hopefully this fire that is burning here will not continue to spread. We believe there are firefighters on the other side, on the restaurant side. We just arrived here again, PCH and Sunset, and this is evidence that the fire yesterday jumped Pacific Coast Highway. There are multiple cars parked on the beach side, right next to the sand, that had been burned when the fire jumped the highway. Now, I want to go to some video. We drove Toyopa Drive in Pacific Palisades between Corpus Christi Catholic Church and Drummond. And I can tell you, block after block, there were no houses standing. When you say it appears to be a war zone, a disaster zone, the damage is catastrophic, it doesn't even begin to do justice to what we are seeing. House after house, for block after block, destroyed. This again, Toyopa Drive between Corpus Christi Catholic Church, which is severely damaged. We believe the sanctuary has now collapsed. At least one huge building is a total loss. And Drummond. And let's go to this. A lot of talk on Sunset Boulevard, the grocery store. Again, you know, the heart of the community. We saw the public library on fire. We saw the church on fire. Ralph's on the 15,000 block of Sunset Boulevard destroyed. It is just the walls are standing. And take a look at this video that we shot for you early this morning. This is what we saw up and down Sunset Boulevard. This is on Sunset and Rivas Canyon, where homes were burning on both sides of Sunset Boulevard, on both corners of Sunset. Homes completely destroyed. No firefighters in sight. Again, firefighters stretched thin. They're trying to save the homes that they can. Some homes are just left to burn when the loss is too great and they cannot save them. And then you have the water issues, and we're going to be talking a lot about that in the coming weeks, as will LA City Fire. What happened to the water? Now, this isn't the first time the fires in this area have had water issues. Back in, I believe, the 1990s, there was a fire in Malibu, and they had huge water issues during during the 1993 Malibu fire, there was a lack of water, and they had to drain water from swimming pools, which we actually saw LA City firefighters do today near the church that was burning. There was a home that was just burning to the ground right in front of firefighters. They couldn't save it. They were trying to save the other home by using pool water. I'm going to ask photographer Tony Butita again. I'm on PCH here right next to Gladstone. I'm just going to ask him to turn the camera around and just show you how gray, how dark. We drove through parts of PCH where it just appeared almost to be nighttime as this fire continues to find fresh fuel to burn. And sadly, that fresh fuel includes homes. The loss is going to be on a very large scale. And even more importantly, you heard Sheriff Robert Luna report this morning that they have reports of 2 fatalities. We don't know, and we broke the story early this morning, that a man was found here on Pacific Coast Highway with severe burns to almost his entire body. At one point, the rescuers thought he was naked because the fire had burned the clothes off of his body. He was in extremely critical condition, taken to the hospital, fighting for his life. We do not know if that is one of the 2 fatalities. We will learn more about that in the coming days. But that truly is the big story here, the loss of life, and of course all the folks that are in the hospital with smoke inhalation, with some serious burns, including a firefighter with a serious head injury. I'm Gigi Graciette, live in Pacific Palisades. We're on Pacific Coast Highway. You're looking live at Gladstone's, the side of the restaurant, the garbage area, and an area used for storage have been now destroyed, and of course we're hoping that the fire doesn't spread to this restaurant.
Gigi, you're showing us pictures of the fire jumping PCH over to the ocean side, and we saw pictures and images earlier of some of the lifeguard towers completely up in flames too. Is that near where you are? I don't know if she can hear me at this point.
Maybe we lost her. Did we
yes,
lose?
Yes, I'm sorry. Our signal.
Go ahead.
You know, that's another thing that everybody is dealing with, and we saw this during the Malibu fire too, is the lack of cell signals, the cell towers that are burned, that go down, and our signals have been spotty all morning long. It's very, very frustrating. Thankfully, the firefighters and the first responders, they have their radio communications, which have not been affected. But you were mentioning that lifeguard tower burned to the ground. A lot of folks, we believe, moved their cars across the street to the ocean side, thinking it would be safe there, and unfortunately it wasn't. They weren't safe. We saw multiple cars just burnt, just the shell of what was a car on the ocean side.
Wow, just goes to show how violent those winds were overnight. Clearly, we're not out of the woods yet, as we've been listening to Maria and Samada tell us the forecast coming up. But it's a very different look right now with daylight, and you can see just how devastating this fire continues to rage in the Palisades area. Thank you so much, Gigi, and please wear your mask, because the air quality, you could just tell right there, is very dangerous. Well, first responders there on the beach wearing their masks.
Thank you.
All right, so from Gigi, we're going to go over to Mario. He's in the San Fernando Valley, where we're staying on top of the developments there because you have been covering the Hearst fire this morning.
That's right, and the Hearst fire is still burning out of control, about 500 acres, 505 to be exact. And we heard in that news conference a little earlier this morning that 3,000 residents here in this area remain under mandatory evacuation orders. Now, I want to show you the activity that we've been watching here from our vantage point along Sombrero and Sycamore here in the Oak Ridge mobile home community. Now, there are hundreds of homes here in this gated community. We've seen multiple agencies, LA City and County, CAL FIRE, and U.S. Forest Service crews responding to this blaze. Police officers also stationed here in the neighborhood. This all began, it was first reported around 10 o'clock last night, stretching to about 500 acres in a few hours, and right now it is burning adjacent to the Angeles National Forest. Fortunately, away from these properties at the moment, but there are still mandatory evacuation orders that were issued for areas north of the 210 freeway from Roxford Street to the 5 and 14 freeway split, and those mandatory evacuation orders those mean you should leave if you haven't already. And I want to talk to Lupe and Val here. They are returning to the neighborhood after evacuating. You're sort of assessing what's been going on and what things look like right now. Walk me through what it was like to evacuate last night.
So yesterday, he had saw the fire, and then I was actually at the store. So I came home and I saw it. My first instinct was just to grab him, get my dogs, and get my, baby pictures, stuff like that. And so I did that. I came, we ran inside. I was like, just help me grab something. And then I just put on some clothes. I got my social and my birth certificate, and then we just left. So then we went to his brother's house. We got both the cars, and then it was so hard to even get out, so they had to open an emergency exit for Oak Ridge. So we had to go out that way. But this, coming out to the mobile park, it was so crowded, so you couldn't really get out.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that congestion making our way in here early this morning. Val, sorry, I'm going to reach over you, but Val, I want to talk to you. What was that like? We saw the flames get dangerously close to these properties. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, we just heard a loud explosion, and then me and my brother went outside, and you can see one of the cell phone towers. I don't know if they're cell phone towers or the power towers, but there was just a huge fire in the back, and then immediately right away, so me and my brother just started going door to door, knocking on all the neighbors' houses, because there's a lot of elderly people that live over here. So obviously our main concern was getting everyone out of here, and then ourselves too. So we just got all our cars, filled them up with as much stuff as we could, and we just left with our pets and stuff like that. Had to call my father-in-law too, because he has a ranch that's right here, right next to us too, with 300 horses that are right there. And then he was right there trying to put out the fires as well too, trying to get all the horses evacuated and out of there as well.
And his ranch and livestock, everything okay there?
Yeah, everything's good. Luckily they were able to get everything out, and then the fire didn't really get too close to the ranch.
And you guys have done this before. You've evacuated in this area before, I understand.
Yeah. It was in 2019, but it was way worse. The winds were blowing way stronger, but more towards this direction. And I know that a couple of houses caught fire over here, but luckily it wasn't as bad this year. But yeah, still gotta stay vigilant, be careful out here, especially with the high winds and stuff like that.
And then what now? I understand, you guys are still evacuated. Are you going to return home, although that's not advised by, fire officials? Where are you guys going now?
I think we're just going to wait till the air quality kind of dies down a little bit, and then try to see what the reports online say, or when it's safe to come back like that, because, the winds are still kind of blowing strong right now, so we don't want to be here, especially with the fire department and all that right here.
All right. Lupe, Val, thanks for talking to us. You guys stay safe. So a lot of these fire crews are still making their way through the area, so they're asking residents to leave if you haven't already. Keep these roads clear for these fire engines. As you can see, they're still going through some of these narrow streets. Now, we did see earlier there were several cars parked just under the 210 freeway right outside this community, and several residents said that they just parked their cars down there. They slept and, they just waited. They really couldn't get any sleep. Of course, watching the updates and seeing what the fire was doing as it crept very close to these homes here. So we'll keep an eye on things, but that is the latest as we continue to feel those wind gusts. In Silmar, I'm Mario Ramirez. Back to you.
Yeah, and we're just getting some information that we didn't know, but Gigi was telling us that when she was covering this same location back in 2008, which was the Sayre fire, right? At the time, it was the worst loss of homes due to fire in the city's history, right?
So nearly 500 homes burned down in what was known also as the Silmar fire. That was in November 2008.
So just interesting perspective, and just we'll continue to basically compare and contrast, because obviously Los Angeles County has seen many fires throughout its history, but this one, as we've heard from experts, officials, Maria Samata, talk about just how different this one is in the way these erratic winds are behaving, and so unpredictable, which makes it all the more scary. We want to show you a look at the map of the Hearst fire where Mario is. A little over 500 acres have burned so far. Officials are warning that the worsening winds could spread, though, this fire much farther out. Smoke advisory in effect, and residents, of course, urged to stay indoors. If you're able to stay indoors, please do so. And if you have an air purifier, too, it would be very useful to put that on as well.
That's right, and for anyone impacted by this Hearst fire, evacuation shelters have been set up. Those are located at Richie Valens Recreation Center on Laurel Canyon Boulevard in Pacoima, the Northridge Park Center also on Reseda Boulevard in Northridge, and Sepulveda Recreation Center on Kester Avenue in Panorama City. And for those with large animals like horses, many residents in that area do have those horses. You can take them to the Los Angeles Equestrian Center in Burbank.
Horse owners can also contact the Compton Cowboys for assistance. CEO and founder Randy Savvy is offering assistance, emergency assistance for evacuation of those types of animals who need to transport their horses to safety. He is getting a lot of messages right now from residents who do need his help. And he's actually joining us on the phone right now to get us some more information. Randy, thank you for being with us, and thank you for the service you're offering.
Hey guys, I appreciate being here. I am en route right now, taking a bunch of messages. I'm getting a bunch of back and forth. It looks like a lot of help is coming in though, so a lot of the runs that I'm getting started to go within like 5 or 10 minutes, people are saying, oh, you know, trailers are getting there, those horses are cleared. So I'm happy to hear that, but I am still on the route. I'm still taking phone calls. I'm still in my rig, so I got a few things coming in, so we'll see what's up.
How many horses would you say are in need of a shelter or protection at this point? We're seeing video of a lot of owners of ranches evacuating their horses overnight.
There are thousands of horses in the Los Angeles and greater Los Angeles. People don't realize how widespread and how prominent the horse community is in LA because we're not like a southern or one of those northern or midwestern states. People don't associate us with like farming and ranching. But in LA, there are so many horse people, all different kinds. You got rancheros and vaqueros and charros from the Mexican community. You got black and white cowboys all over, even some natives. You got people that do hunter jumpers, all types of horses and all type of discipline and horse lovers all over the county. So I would definitely say thousands.
So what is the best way for people to contact you if they're in need of your services?
They can definitely text me to my phone number. Our number is 818-312-5936.
Okay, and we're showing your information as well for Instagram and your website, but give us your number again.
818-312-5936.
Now, can you...
my name is Randy. And I have I'm pulling a big 6-horse polo trailer in a big rig, so I can fit some, if you got little ones, I could probably take about 8 of them. If you got big ones, really big ones, I could probably get about 5 of them in here, easy.
Okay. Randy, you're a local, obviously. We talk a little bit about how we compare and contrast of past fires to what we're seeing now. Can you talk a little bit about what your experience has been and how you would rate this fire and how severe and dire the situation is?
I'm sorry, say that for me one more time. I'm a little going through some bad service. Say that for me one more time.
No problem. Just your past experience in dealing with wildfires and fires and how this is different from past experiences.
Well, you know, like the fires have never. I mean, I always see them here in the valleys and they happen, but they seem to get contained pretty quickly. I haven't ever seen them be so profound and so widespread and so near to home and happen so fast. I'm getting a bunch of phone calls, guys. Though I got a bunch of people that are calling about rescue, so I might have to run really quick.
Okay, thank you so much, Randy, for everything you're doing with the Compton Cowboys, helping out those owners of horses and going to rescue them as we speak. I know you're very busy, so thank you very much. And his information is right there. He's getting a ton of calls right now for people who need assistance. We'll check back in with you later on, Randy. Thank you so much. Now let's go to the Eaton Fire, which is doubling in size overnight. That's where Coco McAboy is, and it's forced thousands of people to flee from their homes. This is near the Altadena, Pasadena area.
That's exactly where we are. We are near Altadena.
near Murata Place right now, and the winds have been whipping out of control, and that makes this fire even more dangerous. The Eaton Fire here, you can see homes are burned to the ground. The home you're looking at right now that is on fire, the homeowner came over to us to say, "This is my home," and he got a picture and then he ran as fast as he could because there's a lot of danger in this area with the downed power lines as well. Police have been on the loudspeakers telling people if you are in this area, you need to evacuate as soon as possible. But there are people who have been staying. Some people are trying to hose down their lawns. They're hosing down their roofs as well. They're just trying their best to save their homes. But fire crews are trying to tell people not to do that. But it's obviously a very devastating, very difficult situation for a lot of residents watching their homes burn to the ground. As we keep walking here, we're near East Sacramento Street as well. And you can just see the devastation. Homes burned to the ground. This power line right here is also down. There are several power lines down in this neighborhood as well, which is making it difficult for people as they're trying to evacuate. They have to kind of watch out for some of these power lines as well and kind of navigate that as well. So we have seen some people who have been sticking it out, now deciding they've got to go at this point. Again, we're on El Molino Avenue near Murata Place, walking towards another home here that is currently on fire. I had another resident ask me if any firefighters will be coming to the neighborhood, and the answer right now is no, because they are strapped. They're doing the very best they can trying to put out fires, but as soon as one sparks, another one does because of all the embers that are flying in the area. We do know that 2 people so far have died in the Eaton Fire and several more injured. We don't know the exact number, but that's something that will be coming out in the next several days. Right now, what's at top of mind, especially for firefighters, is trying to save as many people as they can, trying to put out the fires as quickly as they can, while also dealing with the wind. I don't know if you can hear it in my live shot. The wind is really roaring, and that does not help with this active fire that's underway right now. So definitely a difficult situation as we continue to walk down El Molino. I can tell you we've spoken with a few residents at the end of this street who have decided to stay. They said that they just wanted to save their home, and one guy is trying to evacuate, but he, in the stress of it all, lost the keys to his car. So now he's scrambling, trying to find the keys to his car because he's got his car packed up, but he's unable to move it.
Wow.
So you can just imagine the stress that people are under.
Absolutely. Yeah, because in a moment's panic when you're rushing and running around, you might have even packed those keys in one of your bags. You don't know. Maybe that's a reminder, too, when you're doing the Getty Set Go plan, right? And you're positioning your car in the driveway as you should be when you're told that it's a possibility you might have to evacuate, to perhaps even leave your keys in the car. I know that yesterday when so many people abandoned their vehicles in the middle of the road, right? One of the things was, hey, you guys, if you do this, leave your keys in the car. This is not a parking lot. Don't take your keys with you, because you're not even thinking at that moment. Coco, we're watching this individual, it looks like a gentleman, trying to hose down the surrounding property of his home. This is just, oh my gosh, it's making me very nervous.
Right. The wind's whipping around.
Yes, it made us very nervous as well. We've been speaking to him. We gave him some extra masks as well, because he's been using a towel over his face to try to, keep the smoke. There's a lot of smoke in the area too. That's another thing to worry about, but he's really just trying to save his home. So it kind of shows you the level of panic that people have out here, trying to save whatever they can. But it's easier said than done to just abandon your home, and I understand that, but fire crews are trying to tell people and to really evacuate the area and save yourself.
Right, not only evacuate while you can early on, but also they were urging people in the latest news conference this morning, which was just about an hour and a half ago, to not hose down your property and to conserve that water. Actually turn off your gas, turn off your water, because fire officials do need those resources right now battling these blazes. And they were saying that this is unprecedented. They are calling in all personnel to help fight these fires. As you were mentioning, residents where you are, Coco, are wondering where the fire trucks are. But the fact is the resources are spread so thin, they're calling on all available fire personnel to come in to try to help. And they say they have never been so short-staffed. And they even brought in personnel from up north, surrounding areas, because they were prepared for this big, severe wind event, but they didn't anticipate 4 major fires breaking out and the resources that they need today.
Yeah, they were saying, yeah, we were ready to fight 1, maybe 2, but 4 major fires like this, of this magnitude, we just weren't ready. They're saying it, quite honestly, it's just, this is something we've never experienced before. All right, we're saying, oh,
exactly.
Is that the gentleman who found his keys, maybe, or that was a different vehicle?
That was a different vehicle that was honking at us. Someone that we spoke to earlier that clearly decided now to leave. But as you mentioned, there's a lot of frustration from residents to firefighters who feel like they don't have the resources to handle an event of this magnitude. And again, you just see this home just burning to the ground. There's lots of little explosions and embers as well. And again, these guys on top of this roof are still trying to save their home, but this is becoming more and more dangerous every minute.
Absolutely, Coco. This is so heartbreaking to watch and to listen to. Please stay safe, you and your crew. Make sure you keep your masks on, your goggles on. It is a very dangerous situation with the winds whipping around right there. All right, let's go back to Gigi Graciette covering the Palisades fire. You are near PCH and the ocean. What's the scene now?
Well, we're on PCH. We're at Gladstone's, and just moments after we went live reporting there was a fire on this side of the restaurant, we were actually heading to the other side where firefighters were staged. Apparently somebody saw that live shot, reported it, and LA City Fire arrived here and have managed and are still working actually on putting this fire out. This is a trailer, a metal trailer, the ones you often see on tractor trailer trucks, but this one is here permanently. It was being used as a storage facility for the popular restaurant on Pacific Coast Highway. This was completely on fire. Everything inside, whatever was in there, has been destroyed. And actually, you might be able to make out that black smoke because it continues to burn in there, even though the flames have been put out. And then onto the left of that trailer is the garbage bin area of the restaurant. As far as we can see, the restaurant has not been affected, which of course is a good thing. Gladstone's has been here for decades. Most folks in Los Angeles have probably been here at one time or another. A very popular place for tourists, for locals to come and have seafood right on the beach. So LA City Fire to the rescue from Fire Station 238. We see them right here, or is that 238, I believe, and that is in Wilmington. So Wilmington LA City Fire have now been able to put this fire, and they're going to be standing by for any possible hot spots. Part of the wall on the restaurant has also burnt, and we were talking about the fire actually jumping Pacific Coast Highway. I'm going to ask photographer Tony Butita, and I've been asking him things all day long. I'm going to ask you to turn around. I want to go up there. We're on Sunset and Pacific Coast Highway, and we're starting to see a black plume, and that just means that the fire has hit some fresh fuel, whether that's a home, whether that's a structure, whether that's vegetation, unclear, but that dark black smoke tells you that something is burning. You may be able to make out part of a structure that looks like it was burnt probably yesterday, but the fire not completely out, and we're just starting to see that loom up here. Pacific Coast Highway is gray. It is dark. It's as if it were 6 o'clock in the afternoon here because of all the smoke. That is the latest from Pacific Palisades and our continuing coverage of the Palisades fire. Very much out of control. And those winds, those wind gusts, we are continuing to feel them here in Pacific Palisades. We'll send it back to you.
And Gigi, I hear a little relief in your voice given the fact that Gladstone's has been saved at this point, but really, you don't survey the damage of the smoke.
And we lost our signal.
Even if Okay, Gigi's going to go and get connected, but you know, you can say a structure has been saved because it hasn't caught on fire, but the smoke damage inside those homes, the furniture, some of all that can be totally totaled in a fire like this. So now we're looking at a map of this fire and some of the evacuation areas. The evacuation centers for the Palisades fire victims. Let's tell you about those. So evacuees can go to the Westwood Recreation Center. This is on 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard.
Another evacuation center open is the Dream Center in Los Angeles, so that's an option as well.
Yeah, and when it comes to livestock and larger animals, a separate evacuation center is open at Pierce College. That's at 6201 Winnetka Avenue in Woodland Hills. And smaller pets like cats and dogs can be taken to the LA County Animal Shelter. That's at 29525 Agora Road in Agora Hills.
Community buildings are also being destroyed in this fire. We were on the scene when we captured video. This is of the Palisades Branch Library being engulfed in flames. Look right there, right next to the library. The Corpus Christi School and Catholic Church reduced to basically metal outline. Oh, it's so tough to see that. So many memories there shared. All of it just turned into ashes. According to Gigi, overnight, a man was found, as she talked about a little bit ago, on Pacific Coast Highway, and the majority of the clothing that he was wearing had been basically burnt off of his body. That's quite a visual if you think about that, right? In fact, at one point, they thought he was not clothed. He was naked because that's just how it appeared. He had serious burns. He was rushed to a burn center where doctors frantically working to try to save his life. And last we heard, he was in critical condition. So we don't know what came of all of that. And we did get an update a little bit ago that 2 people have lost their lives as a result of the fire. So we have no idea if he's one of those 2. Just a heartbreaking update there. LA City Fire says that there are multiple other burn patients hospitalized because of all of this.
And we do know for all those evacuees, Planet Fitness is actually opening all their locations and doors for people to come in, to shower, to power up their phones, to use their Wi-Fi. So that is an option for evacuees needing a place for a shower and some power. All right, this is the video of Palisades Fire from late last night. As we've been showing you, it's burned 5,000 acres. No sign of containment so far, and Chelsea Edwards was there overnight hours posting this video on social media, driving through the Palisades fire on her way back to the station. So you can see some of those houses burning and actually leveled to the ground. Let's listen to the video.
Wow.
Could just never imagine that something like this would happen.
Well, when you look at this, and imagine, you know, she's in it, right? Her photographer and her driving through this. You almost feel as though, is this really happening? Is this real life? Are we on a movie set? What in the world is this? There's also a video of our photographer, Gino, and our reporter, Christy Fajardo. They were driving near the Palisades fire. You see all the emergency vehicles, the smoke right in the air. So tough to even just make your way through the roadway there. There are emergency evacuations in place as they were trying to make their way down the road.
It just doesn't look like LA County. This seems like some, right, like you said, apocalyptic Armageddon from another planet. You know, this just does not look like home, and this is home for so many people. So here's again a map, a look at the Palisades fire. It started near Piedra Morada and Monte Hermoso Drives. That's about 10:30 yesterday morning, and it has just exploded into this. And officials are warning of the worsening winds that could spread the fire further. As we know, we're not out of